to Keep It Curious, a podcast where a pair of perpetually perturbed pals placate our perturbation by prattling on about our probings into purposeless ponderings. I'm Meredith.
And I'm Kelsey, and we're here to tickle your brain with semi-humorous and semi-educational deep dives on weird and wild topics, all while speculating with a reckless abandon. Let's get boondoggling, shall we?
Boondoggling.
Moon.
But before we do, Kelsey has some fun news for us.
I do.
Do tell.
Drum roll, please. I have a job in Switzerland.
Finally! A job in your field. What a concept.
Finally. Going
So
back
happy
into
for you.
interior architecture.
La la la. Also, she's pulling a Seti up in here. If you guys listen to that episode, because Seti was also a draftswoman.
Yes. Me and City now have that in common. Am I cool now?
So cool. Just saying. It's a great term. I like it. But
As do I.
and you enjoy the commute, you said?
Oh, yes, the commute will be very nice. It's going to be along a very lovely lake view and then some nice alpine mountains in the background, and it's not a bad view
Not a
on the
bad
way to
view.
work.
Sip your
So,
coffee, take a
my
nap.
coffee, read a book, look out the
Honestly,
window and enjoy the landscape.
just like the best way to start your day, dude. Like
I know.
a train in anywhere in Europe, honestly. Like a nice train in Europe where you get like views and like that's just it's like the
It's good
commute of
stuff.
my dreams. Like if I could
know.
get up and get on some public transit where I didn't have to pay attention to the road, didn't have to like be really fully conscious, just like sit on the phone for 20 minutes playing my stupid like Dragonscapes or something like that, like stupid phone games or something, like that would be
It's ideal.
spectacular. It
Like you don't really like
guarantees
lose the time, like you still have
yeah.
useful time during your commute.
Exactly. Because like I feel like for me, like when it comes to driving, like I like it because I'm alone and I can manage my whole space. But it's not like you feel relaxed. Well, like I don't personally feel relaxed on like a trafficy commute to a place of work or back home. Like it just feels like
No, that's
wasted
just
time that you spent.
stressful.
Yeah, you can be doing nothing but paying attention to the road. But like a guaranteed time to like relax before and after work, like a little bit of de-stress and wake up time that's like built into your schedule. Sounds fucking nice.
I felt like such a weirdo when I went to the interview because I got off the train. I was walking down the street and I was like, oh, it feels so good to be doing a commute. And I was like, who says that?
You know what? Maybe everybody in Switzerland. I don't know. Like
Maybe.
maybe no one is having that like just gross commute feeling in a place as gorgeous as Europe. Like
I don't know.
everyone's
People
just
still
like,
do drive a lot here,
that's fair.
surprisingly.
I mean,
I guess.
you do
Why would you
everywhere,
bother
right?
driving to work? You really don't need to.
Mm-hmm. I also feel the need to comment on the fact that Fritz is still hanging out with me, and I love that because
He's
when I
so
recorded,
precious.
I know he's a sleepy boy. He's just got his head stuck under the tray of Scanty and Anuka a little bit, and he's just like, I'm gonna take a nap right here because he can't normally
Check
be
out
in the frame.
the YouTube if you want to see how adorable Meredith's cat is.
I keep forgetting that like you can listen in both places now because I'm seeing it, so I'm like, oh yeah, of course you guys can see what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, totally. Yeah, if you want to see my cat, he's just chilling on the desk with me now because I have a new setup spot that hopefully I won't have to switch back and forth between streaming and podcasting because that was annoying. And also I won't be sitting in like 70% humidity for the entirety of the time because my plants love it, but I get moist. Oh,
So moist.
You know what I mean?
But yeah, that's my big news. Meredith, you just had some travels.
Yeah. I feel like I should keep it positive, but I'm not gonna. I just went to the Grand Canyon and it was spec-fucking-tacular. Just so crazy. We went to the south no, sorry, the North Rim, the one that people don't go to as much because there's like nothing around it. But like when I thought nothing around it, I thought they meant like it's not interesting around it, but like it's gorgeous around the North Rim of the Grand Canyon. Like it's like big what?
Sorry. A cargo train just went by,
Oh,
and
I
I
didn't
was
even
just
hear it.
wondering. Okay, cool. Cool.
Interesting. Okay, so maybe we were also debating our gain levels, how much noise input would be coming in. So hopefully this sounds all right because I really don't want to have to
Yeah.
record it because it's
Yeah,
always
this
awkward.
is our first recording of me being in my new apartment, and I live very close to train tracks now,
Which is cool.
in an old, not so soundproof building. So if there is a little background noise, bear with us while we figure that out.
Please bear with us. Hopefully you like the content anyways. Anyways, I forgot what I was talking
South
about.
Rim.
Oh yes, so yes, it was absolutely gorgeous. It's like surrounded by like meadows and woods, which I don't know why I just never expected that to be like you're literally like driving through meadows and there's like just theoretically bison, but we didn't see any and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, that's strange. And then you just like drop off into the Grand Canyon. I was like, I don't know why I thought it would just be like just
That'd be like
rocks.
deserty, dusty.
Yeah. And maybe
Not
that's what it's
meadows.
like. Yeah, like it was so freaking green. Like so green. And like even though it was like the kinds of trees where there was not a lot of like under foliage, which makes, by the way, perfect camping grounds. Like big, beautiful trees, very little underground foliage, just like pine needles and stuff everywhere. Not pine needles. Maybe it was pine. I don't know. Yeah, I think it was pine actually. There was pine and aspen, and like
That must have smelled so good.
it smelled lovely. And again, like we're always doing the extra special like screw campsites, let's drive out on to like BLM land and get as far as we can into a cliff before stopping. Like we like to camp on the edge of cliffs, so we'll like
That's terrifying.
it's spectacular. It's just like the view is incredible, and we found so many of them because like first of all, Utah full of mountains and hills and things like that. I thought it was flat. I don't know why. Before I moved here, I mean, I just assumed it was like flat like everything else. I don't know, but obviously
That's
like
what I think
skiing.
Arizona's like.
Me too. Although to be fair, compared to Utah, it really is flat, but it's also not that flat. Or more to the point, I think it's very flat until it just drops off into things like the Grand Canyon, which is not exactly flat, but starts from flat.
It's just very like pitty.
Yeah, pitty. It's pitted. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. It's a very good way of putting it. It's pitted.
Many pits in Arizona.
As far as I can tell. I don't know. But I was also in the Arizona that was closer to Utah, not the Arizona of the South, where you get those big saguaro cactuses or whatever.
Oh, that's on my to-do list.
Me too. I want to do it so bad.
So cool.
So I did keep it positive. But the negative was that when we got home, we discovered that our garage was open and $8,000 worth of things were stolen from inside.
Oh, so, fuck. What?
Yeah, including all the glass tools, which really blows because some of them are irreplaceable. And like the people who made it are dead now and we can't replace them. And like a lot of it was like Gabe stuff he's accumulated over 10 years. Like things that were like gifted to him from like artists or people he worked with or whatever. And I was like, wow, that. And the worst part is so like they took all of our rock climbing gear and all of our tools, but I get the feeling it was more just like, oh, this looks like a toolbox. And then they opened it and they were like, what the hell are these? And just dumped them.
They probably have no idea what that even is.
Exactly. Like they obviously came in and just took like whatever was easiest to grab. We got so freaking lucky because at the time our garage door was actually unlocked, like the door into the house. So we realized as we got home, like when we realized that stuff was stolen, we were like, holy crap, like if they had gotten into the house, because I had run in last minute to get something and I'd forgotten to lock the door, because we'd already locked it, and then I had to unlock the door, run in to grab something, and then we were like already we just forgot, you know what I mean? But like the
Yeah,
garage
it
door
happens.
closed, so we assumed everything's fine. And when we came back after like a 3-day adventure, we were like, how long has that garage been open? Like maybe, you know, we came around the corner and it opened a little bit before we were, you know, like whenever you press the garage door opener or something, like maybe we just
Yeah.
didn't see it open, but we were like, I don't think that was something we just happened to do around the corner. And it wasn't. So,
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's
yeah.
so
I mean, at least
it's
it's not
so hard when
damaged.
it's stuff that's like stuff that you can't
Irreplaceable.
replace though, you know? Like your rock
Yeah.
climbing stuff you can get back.
Yeah,
But
and we
like
do have renter's insurance, so like hopefully we'll get something from that, but like some of it's just like if they don't make it anymore, how are you supposed to replace the item? Like
yeah.
and there was memories attached to them as well. Like this isn't just a tool that I bought, you know, this isn't just a drill I bought, although that is also gone. Um the but it's like, oh, I got this while working my first glass blowing job, and like even my can you not love can you not drink my water, thank you, love you,
He makes a great sound deafener.
bye. You mean talking through the full thick body of my kitten works very well as a sound deafener?
Yes,
That's
precisely.
hilarious. He's getting thick. He's a thick kitten.
Chubby little kitty.
Chubby, but not too chubby, just chubby enough, you know. Still
Perfectly
healthy.
chubby.
Perfectly chubby. Anyways, yeah, so it's annoying, but hopefully something will get figured out. We're like checking pawn shops and stuff to be like, maybe they just tried to
Yeah.
sell it off anyways. Like you obviously did not know what you picked up, because why would you? Um
Like
like
if they went through the trouble and they're already going to pawn shops, like maybe they would just
we're hoping at least that they tried to pawn it off somewhere and didn't just drop it in a ditch. You know what I mean? Like
yeah. Too many ditches in Utah to check.
exactly right. Like part of me is like maybe we should just drive around the neighborhood and see if we can find it. But also like it's
Maybe
been
like threw it out the
days.
window.
Yeah. Like which would be so fucking sad because Gabe also just like made a whole like cozy home for all of them where each one had its own little cutout and their like big special fancy box. He spent hours doing it, getting every single one its own little
Oh,
spot. And I was like, wow, that fucking yeah, he's really
that
upset
makes
about
me
it.
want to cry.
I mean,
I'm so sorry.
it's okay. I feel for him more than like my stuff was in there too, but like it wasn't nearly as like meaningful as
Yeah.
his. Yes, did I want
My
it? Yes, but
sincerest condolences to Gabe.
thank you. If anybody sees any random glass blowing tools out in the wilds, you know,
On
let
the
me know.
wilds of
Mine's engraved.
Utah.
I actually wrote my name on it.
Oh, for
So,
real?
I mean, like an ML or something like that.
Oh,
On it, we're not
yeah.
going to find them. Even the police were like, we're not going to find that. I was like, you're
I've
right.
got ML engraved on this
Mhm.
random glass blowing thing that no one's gonna know what it is to report
Yeah,
it.
like what is this for? I mean, I almost like I hope it'd be nice if it was like some person who knew exactly what they were taking and just like wanted to steal it to use it. Like that would at least feel better to me than it being like left in a ditch somewhere.
Yeah, like it still sucks. It'd be better if it like wasn't just withering away to dust,
Yeah, I don't know. Like
being unused and unloved.
I know it's like they're made to be used. Don't neglect them. Anyways, we should get to the
Ugh,
episode.
heartbroken.
Heartbroken.
Anyways,
On a more positive note, Kelsey, if you
what
recall, you last covered the Nazca lines, and I
I
decided to
did.
bounce off your idea and chat
Oh,
about the grand Mesoamerican gods of Venus. Fun fact, by the way, Mesoamerica is a region from Mexico to Panama prior to Christopher Columbus's arrival. So, that area, you know?
I'm very excited.
So please humor me, guys. I'm going to do my freaking best to pronounce this stuff, but bloody hell was this difficult. I looked up pronunciations all over the place because it wasn't even like something where I can be like, I could just guess. It's like, I have no clue. So I'm gonna do my best. Please humor me. So there are 3 gods represented by the planet Venus, which are uh, Quetzalcoatl, his ally Tlaloc, and Xolotl, who is Quetzalcoatl's twin and psychoPOMP, not psychoPUP, by the way, though you might be excused for the error when referring to the sickly dog-headed god. So,
Wait, so what is this psychoPOMP?
a psychoPOMP is a guide for souls to the place of the dead.
You're saying pomp or pump?
Pomp.
Pomp, like pomp and
P-O-M-P.
circumstance.
Like a psychotic pomp. P-O-M-P. I was like, you know what? I can't.
For example, the thing that I just said.
For example, like this word. Yeah, it's
Okay.
like, yeah, the things that lead your soul to the afterlife in whatever culture that is. So there's a lot of psychopomps. I learned that word through this. But let's start with the one that most people have at least heard of, Quetzalcoatl, which we mentioned last time, but I don't know how the fuck we said it.
We did.
I should have listened to these a couple of times more before starting, because I was also listening to like recordings of them, but I also did these notes like 2 weeks ago, so I feel like I practiced it for a while and then just like forgot about it.
I feel like I should remember that I said his name.
Yes, you did. You did.
I don't.
I don't remember exactly why you mentioned it either. Like, because it's been weeks.
I don't know. I think at the end of it, I might have talked about some like similarities with other regions and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will enlighten you on what you spoke of last time. Refresh you. I'll refresh you, girl. So, Quetzalcoatl, whose name may be translated as feathered or plumed serpent or precious twin, which I will be using throughout the rest of the podcast for my own sanity, soon. Quetzalcoatl is from a Nahuatl language, which is Quetzali, or tail feather of the Quetzal bird, specifically the resplendent Quetzal, the national bird of Guatemala, and Coatl, which means snake, making him feathered serpent.
Is he the same thing as... Aw, man. There's like another feathered snake, isn't there?
It might be the same one.
Continue. I'll see if I can figure out what I'm talking about.
He's also known as Kukulkan to the Mayan, Gugamats to the Quiche of Guatemala, and Ejicatl to the Huastec of the Gulf Coast. So he's in a lot of different cultures by different names, but the feathered serpent stays pretty similar. Okay. So like the ancient Mayan, the ancient Aztec, the Huastec, the Quiche, I think I'm saying that right, I don't know. So in the 17th century, a descendant of Aztec royalty and a historian of the Nahua people wrote, Quetzalcoatl in its literal sense means serpent of precious feathers, but in the allegorical sense, it actually meant wisest of men, which I think is really cool because I like the implication a lot. You know what I mean? It's, yeah. And again, please forgive me if the information I have is a tad off. As it turns out, there's been a lot of evolution over the centuries through both cultures and religion, like the melding of similar gods and the names. So I tried to keep this as, like, I ended up going a little bit chronologically in a sense, just to try to, like, mark when there were big evolutions in the, like, understanding of what this god is. Like, many have actually taken the gods' names, whether they be priests or rulers. So I tried to focus on the deity alone. And I talk about the evolution as best I could from the sources I found. But also, Wiki helped me a lot with this. Because again, with topics that are super broad and hard to track through individual articles. I tried to find more than one source saying similar things. I want to again be as respectful as possible. This is obviously a very like well-known and still beloved cultural aspect of a lot of places, so I really want to make sure I do it respectfully. But if this deity isn't sounding familiar at this point, yet you think you knew the word, you might actually be thinking of the Quetzalcoatl, Quetzalcoatlus, which is actually a gigantic pterosaur named after the deity, and it was one of the largest animals to ever roam the skies back in the late Cretaceous period.
So is a pterosaur like a pterodactyl?
Yeah, I think so. It's
Okay.
a big, chunky looking. It looks like a pterodactyl, but like
But, like,
massive
bigger.
and really strange
Okay.
shape. But they have found some like skeletons of it, and it's really, really fucking cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I have to look at that.
Yeah, the beak was freaking insanity, man. So yes, I highly recommend looking that up as well. But that is not what this episode is about. It is about the ancient deity. So the earliest representations of the precious twin describe him as a majestic plumed serpent. And for that reason alone, I'm actually super excited for what we have dubbed Mare's Montage, which is all of y'all's
the pictures
awesome
are gonna
art.
be so cool. Did Fritz just knock something over?
He tried to jump on the recycling bin, and I think it went. Kind of sad I missed it, I'm gonna be honest.
That sounds hilarious.
I know. I was like, how did you? Because it's still standing up, but the lid just went. Pew. I'm gonna have to assume. What was that?
Probably just
Silly?
scared the crap out of himself.
Although he's staring at it like he didn't do it either.
Ghost.
Ghost! Ah! Thankfully, we've had no
Quetzalcoatl
ghostly things happen.
heard that you were talking about him and came and made
He's
himself
like,
known.
you said it wrong. I'm like, I'm sorry. I looked up so many.
Pronounced my name.
You know what? Quetzalcoatl, not Google Translate. Google pronunciation. No, I don't want to practice it. I want to hear it. Quetzalcoatl. There you go. Hopefully that's right. Quetzalcoatl. Anyways, thank you for that distraction, Fritz. Back to what I was saying. Oh, yes. So I'm very excited for the thing we call Mare's Montage now, which is basically all of y'all's awesome art that helps us represent these episodes visually. So if you haven't seen that, look us up on Instagram at Keep It Curious Podcast to see the gorgeous art relating to our episodes, because you guys have some awesome stuff, and it makes me really excited to feature beautiful work.
If you happen to have made some art that's related, or if you've seen some around the internet, feel free to send it our way, because
please, because we can also feature it afterwards. Yeah. Like, oh, hey, do you remember this episode? Check out this awesome art and head back to episode whatever. I don't know. We haven't done that yet. We try to stay, for the most part, like on topic per week, but
the Mare's Montage is also usually the we do it between after the episode's been released. So if you hear it and you think of something that you've seen in the last few days, send it on over.
I'm really into it, because there's we've mostly been looking at like Instagram and whatnot, but there's bazillions of places where you can find cool art. Or if you have your own art, feel free to send it to us and we can feature it. So anyways, the earliest possible representations of the precious twin date back to the Olmec civilization, and that was roughly 12,000 to 400 BC, so that's basically 2,000 years ago. Over 2,000 years ago. Side note, though, the Olmec are actually credited as the mother of civilization in Mesoamerica. So...
Oh, cool.
Pretty early stuff, bruh. Pretty early on.
The Mesopotamia of Mesoamerica?
Basically, yeah. Exactly. Like one of the earliest civilizations found in that region. So,
Awesome.
a famous Olmec stone carving referred to as La Venta Monument 19 was found at a site in present-day Tabasco, Mexico, and that actually features a carving of a man sitting in front of a snake with a beak and a feathered crest, with the Quetzal birds on either side. So
That
it's
sounds
not.
so cool.
It's very cool. I'll see if I can find a good photo to put into our slideshow for the week or something like that.
Sweet.
Because it's really, really cool looking. But most scholars agree that the earliest representation was actually the earliest representation of the Presage twin in Mexico was actually several hundred years after the Olmec civilization in Teotihuacan, which lasted from 3rd to 8th century CE. So
Okay.
that's where it comes up a lot. But again, they found this thing that maybe the Olmec civilization actually predated it, but it's just like the one carving, and there was no obvious like they worshipped this and
Okay.
this and this. So like most
Yeah,
people
like it could
agree
have just
that
been like a one-off
yeah,
coincidence.
the Teotihuacan was the one where everyone's like, oh no, it's definitely this is where it started, but maybe a
Okay.
little earlier. Scholars do not actually currently know who built and inhabited this incredible ancient city, but they do know its people etched their love for the precious twin into stone. It seems the people of the time viewed the precious twin as a vegetation god, an earth and water deity closely associated with the rain god Tlaloc, which I will get to later. So here you can find representations of feathered snakes as early as the 3rd century CE. And this archaeological site contains 3 large pyramids: the Pyramid of the Sun, the Citadel, and the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, which is a 6-tiered pyramid built in the god's honor.
Ooh.
The facade on tiers of the pyramid are decorated with alternating feathered serpent heads. Sorry, feathered serpent heads. So they represent both the precious twin and another snake-like creature, which we often identify as Tlaloc, the rain god. Not like
Okay.
again 100% sure, but they've made the connection that like okay, this one is how Tlaloc is often represented, and this one is how the precious twin is often represented.
Are they often represented like together?
Yeah, because they're
Okay.
like often even in stories. Like I'll get to the stories later. But
Okay.
they're often like allies in a lot of situations, and people
Okay.
closely associate them. I'll get to that as well, actually, like why they're so closely identified. So I feel like my voice is really scratchy.
Oh, I don't think you
Oh,
sound
good.
particularly scratchy.
I feel scratchy. But I should also have gotten more water, and I wish I had someone to be like, oh, boo, would you get me some water, please?
Me water. That only works whenever he's paying attention to his cell phone, which is not often.
I was like, who are we talking about? Oh, both of them. That's like, yeah,
The
sometimes I
men
feel
folk.
the men folk. These men folk.
To be fair,
Freaking
I also put
hilarious.
my phone down and he asks me for things and I'm not paying any attention. So
Yeah, but I always hear it because I don't have very good selective hearing, actually. I think he does. But anyways.
selective hearing.
Selective hearing,
Quote unquote.
Quote unquote, that's selective hearing, darling. Anyways, blah, 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 blah. So the Temple of the Feathered Serpent was actually built around 150 AD, aka 1,870 years ago. 1,870 years. Yeah.
Okay.
I went to say like 1870, and I was like, that's not how you say that. I don't like.
I get that confused all the time. I
do
have the worst
too.
time saying like
Numbers.
I always try to say like 18,000. I'm like, I meant 1800.
That too. Yeah, I hate math. It's not even math. I'm doing no math. I'm just
It's not
saying
even math.
mathy things out loud. I'm
You're
not
saying
that smart.
numbers.
I'm just saying numbers, but I'm like 610. 610.
10.
610. Anyway, It's like, so I kept doing that this weekend when we were trying to find BLM spots. And they're like over by the Grand Canyon, again, North Rim. Hot tip, y'all. If you ask the rangers as you're entering the park where the dispersed camping is, they have a whole freaking map. Like, they'll hand you a full map and be like, these are all of the actually semi-marked. Like, yes, they're all marked on the map, but like
The
only
sites
some of them are
themselves
actually
kind
marked
of.
in. But like, you'll pass one where you'll be like, oh, there's 611p. Okay, I can assume that this is, blah, 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 blah. So they have
Yeah.
all of that marked out around the Grand Canyon, and there are some gorgeous spots around there. So highly
Oh, that's
recommend.
awesome.
Hat tip. We'll try that next time too. Like, that was Gabe's grandparents who we were seeing at the Grand Canyon. They were like, oh yeah, just ask the ranger for this map. And I was like, you're so clever.
Oh,
They've done
that's
a
good to know.
lot of exploring though, so they know the hot tips, and we're just learning them.
When we eventually come back to the United States, I want to do so many national parks.
Girl, me too. Just saying, if you ever get a chance, I will meet you at the one in Alaska, because I have no reason to just like head out there for shits and giggles except for going to this national park. So
Which
like,
one?
are there two?
There's 4, I think.
Bloody hell.
There's
All
3
of
or
them.
4
All of them.
national
If I'm
parks,
going, I'm
and
going
I
to
know,
all
I
four.
really, right? Like, I feel like if you make it to Alaska, like, you gotta do all 4.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I would need to make it like a 2-week trip in spring or something, because I feel like that's, I don't know though, because like I bet some of them are better in the winter, where like the highlight is the gorgeous snow versus like that crazy spring they get. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm a
Sorry,
wild
I was
tangent.
Googling how many national parks there were, so I didn't.
What
I'm
is?
really sorry.
You're good. Good. How many are there? Or you mean in
I'm
the
getting confused.
about how many are in Alaska, or just in general?
How many are in Alaska? Because I looked up how many national parks are in Alaska, and this says by area, Alaska has 17 national park units, but like
But also
that's
national. It
not
could be like a
right.
national forest as well.
Yeah,
I
like
feel
that's not the
like.
same thing as a national park. Oh wait, here we
Yeah.
go. There's Denali,
Denali.
Katmai,
That's what I was thinking of.
Kenai, fjords. Is that how you say that?
Sure.
Yeah, fjords.
Yeah, me.
And then there's a whole bunch of national park preserves. So there's
Ooh.
3 like legit national parks.
Sweet.
I think.
Sweet.
Maybe 4.
I'm
I'm
into
confused. There's a lot of wildlife and wild places.
Wildlife and wild places.
I want to see a bear fishing so bad.
Whoa. That would be incredible.
Right? I feel like
Whoa.
Alaska would be a good place to see that.
Yeah. Bloody hell. Okay. You're going to need to tell your pun story, because I really have to go to the bathroom.
Okay. While Meredith is peeing, let me tell you all about the humiliation that I suffered. So, for those of you who haven't heard of an Aperol Spritz, it is this beverage here that I am holding on the YouTubes. If you're not watching YouTube, it's a red alcoholic drink with Aperol and Prosecco and like topped with mineral water, and there's oranges in it, whatever. So I'm in a group of people who live in the town that I live in. And they're all people who are like married to people who work with my husband. I don't know most of them because we just moved here, but that doesn't matter. I couldn't find Aperol in town. And I was like, there has to be Aperol in town, right? So I messaged the group to ask like who'd seen Aperol. And somebody suggested that we like all go out and get Aperol spritzes together sometime. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. Cool. So then someone was like, oh, this guy down the street here makes really great Aperol spritzes. We should go to that place. And then someone else was like, oh, this other restaurant in town also makes really good Aperol spritzes. So then I said, why don't we make it an Aper crawl? And proceeded to laugh at my own joke just like that. And no one answered. Not
Rude.
a single person responded to my joke. I didn't even get
believe
a
it.
crying face emoji. Nothing. Like,
I can't even, though. Seriously.
Appa crawl.
It's so good. Bar crawl for Aperol Spritz.
Right? Like Aperol crawl. It flows. Appa
It
crawl.
flows nicely. Mm-hmm.
Nobody got it. No one understood.
God.
No
Lame.
best friends to be made in this group.
Sad.
No one understands me.
No one gets. I understand, though. Just like, oh, my humor is dad jokes and good puns. Like, you know.
Yeah. But how can you not? People who don't like a good dad joke and a good pun, like, I really don't understand.
Yeah.
You take yourself too seriously. That's what I have to say about that.
I love it.
Ugh.
All right,
Anyways,
let's get back
Meredith
to it.
gets it, so Meredith is my friend still.
Thank you. Also, people who don't want to try all the different Aperol spritzes, like, everyone's different, you know what I mean? Like,
Honestly, they all taste the same.
really? You don't have, like, you don't go
I've-
in and you're like, oh, wow, it's a slightly different quality of...
I mean, I've had some that are like slightly more like watered down tasting, but like for the most part,
pretty sim.
they taste the same.
Mm.
Like there's a
Honestly,
minor
that's
difference
kinda
in like
nice,
how
though.
much Aperol is it in.
I want some. All right, we're like 40 minutes in and I've barely covered anything.
Okay.
All right. Blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, that was from 1,870 years ago. It's the third largest pyramid in the city, which really just means that of the three pyramids, it's the smallest, but I like how they phrased it, if you know what I mean.
Wait, were there only 3 pyramids?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Wait, if I go, yeah. The Pyramid of the Sun, the Citadel, and the Tempered Feather. Temple of the
Oh,
Feather.
that's really funny.
Temple of the Feathered Serpent. Yeah, and they're like, it's
The
the third largest
of the 3.
See, and I say they, but I'm pretty sure I rephrased this. So
Oh, well, I feel like you gave them extra credit then. That
I
was
think
very
I
nice
did.
of you.
I'm rereading my notes and I'm like, did I say that? Or is that just like a part that I didn't reword? Because like that's a silly way of saying it. It's the third largest, aka the smallest. Yeah, it's great. Anyways.
So you have some people ask you in interviews like, what's your worst quality? And you're like, I work too hard. Because
like I'm just too hard. I care too much. You know what I mean? I'm just a nice guy. You know? Just a nice guy.
I'm just a nice guy.
Why are you single? I'm just a nice guy, you know? Sorry. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways. So some archaeologists believe that the ornate headdresses found on these serpents represents time, which I think is kind of cool. I don't know how they come up with these things, but you know what I mean. This suggests that the people of Teotihuacan gave the precious twin a role in the creation of the calendar, a role he would continue to play in later civilizations. So, fun archaeology dive because I just can't help it. By the way, I'm gonna try not to make this like a 2-parter, but like it's a lot of info, so I'm just like, I got really into it. You know how I do. Well, because I wanted to cover each of the gods and then some mythology, and also I found this cool deep dive on archaeology. So like, I couldn't help it.
So here we are. This is probably going to be a 2-parter.
Maybe I could pull out the archaeology part and put it somewhere else. I don't know, whatever. So, in late 2003, a tunnel beneath the Temple of the Feathered Serpent was accidentally discovered by archaeologists of the National Institute of Anthropology and History. And after days of heavy rainstorms, Gomez Chavez noticed that a nearly 3-foot wide sinkhole had fallen in near the foot of the temple's pyramid. Which, by the way, the idea of sinkholes fucking terrify me. That is so scary. Like, I got stuck in some quicksand in Minecraft. What? I'm sorry.
I thought you were just gonna say that you got stuck in some like quicksand. Period. End of story. And I was ready to be like, what? When did that happen?
When did that happen? Never. But like, kind of. But like, I freaked out. I was like,
not
at
all.
Scary. Oh my god! What if this really happened? It just scares me, like the fact that the ground can just be like.
Not there anymore.
P.S. Check your camera, by the way. There's your pillow is falling onto the camera again. Not that it really matters, but like I just feel like you know.
Well, better to fix it though.
Anyways, yeah, really freaking scary. And yes, I fell into a sinkhole-ish kind of thing. I feel like sinkhole and quicksand are pretty similar in my mind in terms of things you can't get out of that drag you in and
Yeah, like the
pop out
ground
of nowhere.
just
Yeah,
like
like a
dragging you
sinkhole might be a
down.
well, because I think like I guess I picture the actual sinkhole occurring similar to quicksand. You know what I mean? It's not like an earthquake where the earth just rips open. It's like it goes blah, and then everything just like falls into this fucking hole. And I feel like
Yeah.
also sinkholes are caused by too much water in the soil, right? Kind of similar to quicksand, but like out of nowhere.
I have no idea.
I feel I don't know why I think that. Like it might be entirely fucking made up, but I thought sinkholes were caused by like if it gets too like rainy or whatever in a region and it like gets under the road or something like that, then the soil all falls away and everything collapses into the diminishing space that was.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, still horrifying, whatever the reason is. But I also feel like you can use a sinkhole.
Landslides, sinkholes.
And I feel like they're really deep. I think it's the other part.
It's kind of like a similar.
Feels like a permanent
Yeah, it's
tornado.
like if quicksand just like was a really deep hole, you know?
Which isn't it though?
I have no idea. I thought
Like,
that
I
you
feel
just
like there's a
like
bottom. It doesn't go into the
really.
center of the earth. Like
That's true.
there's a bottom somewhere. It's just above your ability to breathe. You know?
Ew. Oh, it's like dry drowning.
Yeah, it's dry drowning. But like not exactly because it's still moist. It's like water and sand, right? That's what creates a sinkhole.
Damp
Generally.
drowning.
Damp
Drowning in solids.
Moist drowning.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, I'm not into it. I just
hate it.
And then it's like, part of me also is so intrigued by them. It's like, what else is falling in here? If only I could breathe in it, and I could just like swim down to the bottom and be like, whoa, check out this old car and this old guy's knife that he used to stab somebody and hide down here. Let's pull that all out. You know what I mean? Like if you could go into a sinkhole and like excavate it.
You like to go scuba diving in a sinkhole for murder weapons, is what I've gathered.
I mean, I feel like we could solve a lot of murders. You know? Like,
possibly.
What better place to hide a... Like, maybe I'm just thinking of The Lovely Bones. You know that book?
But, like, I do know the book. I haven't read it. But, like, sinkholes aren't that common, you know?
Depends on where you live. I feel like there's a lot of them in like, moisture places. Like... But they're still not that common. But also, since we can't explore them, just like in The Lovely Bones, like, you throw something in there, it's never coming out. Like, that's...
Sure.
You hid that shit. That was, like, pro-murder problems. Or solutions, I guess.
If I ever need a place to hide a body, I guess I'll wait and find a sinkhole.
There you go. But maybe they can excavate them now. I don't know. Technology. Entirely plausible that they could. I would like to be that person. I kind of want to be that person. I also think I'd be so fucking scared. But like, what if you could like, okay, god damn it. What if you could like put a hose down there and then blow air into the hose so that like the stuff starts coming out of the sinkhole, and then eventually you get enough of the sinkhole out that you could just unbury the stuff. Like maybe that's stupid, but like, and no one gives a shit enough to do that to a sinkhole, but like, I don't know, I think that'd be kind of interesting. Like, what would you find?
That's a good question.
And not every sinkhole I think is like 100, or not sinkhole, I'm sorry, quicksand. I guess I'm kind of amalgamating the two, but they're not really. Because like in a sinkhole, you can see the cars like on top and stuff, but like some of them might have sunk further. I don't know. Like.
Depends on how deep the sinkhole is, I suppose.
Depends on how deep the sinkhole is. Exactly. You know what I mean? Anyways.
Fascinating.
That was a really weird tangent, but I just really got into it.
Meredith has a deep passion for sinkholes.
Apparently, I'm discovering this now, but you know what? I find them so. It's like going to the bottom of the ocean. It terrifies and intrigues the shit out of me. Like,
Oh yeah.
what do we not know down there? There's so much unknown in
So
that.
many things. I have heard, and I don't know if it's true, but I have heard that we know more about space than we know about the ocean.
Yeah. And that's completely bonkers.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
The
okay.
ocean's
I
right. It's
also,
right there.
what I think is really interesting is like, I feel like, yes, we think we know a lot more about space. You know what I mean?
That's true. Maybe it
Because
was
like, it's
more
like we
about
make
like,
a lot of assumptions as well. But like,
yeah.
we're working on it more than we're interested in
Yeah.
finding what's below the ocean. And like, I
Maybe
once,
it was not that broad. It was like we know more about the moon or something. Or Mars.
I know what you're talking. I remember the like
Yeah.
phrasing that you're talking about. I don't know exactly which one
Yeah.
it is, but I still feel like you are right. Like we still have put more time and effort into discovering things outside of our planet than we have to the depths of the ocean because we
Discovering
just
our ocean.
yeah, and like part of it is like, oh, we don't have the technology for it. It's like I feel like if people cared enough, we would have the technology for it. We can
I feel
fly to
like
the
we
freaking moon. Like
yeah, like I'm sure we could figure out how to plummet to the bottom of the ocean and survive and come back.
yeah, like if we could go at freaking hyper speed into the depths of the ocean can't be so much more gravitational. Okay, I guess they could. Gravity is a lot harder down there. Maybe it's harder to like anti-gravity up top, down below. It's like how do you undo the forces of gravity?
Yeah.
Maybe it is actually harder. I don't know. Like when I think
Scientists,
about it like that,
help.
scientists help. I help. Oh my god. Do you have any input? I'm gonna look that up at some point. I feel like is it harder to get to the bottom of the ocean because gravity increases as opposed to decreases? But at the same time, I feel like some planets probably have heavier gravity than we do, and we've not been to those planets by human form yet. But come on, we could make a drone to go walk in not that many places actually.
I
Maybe
feel
it
like they
is just fucking
had
hard. Hmm?
some kind of like robot thing walk on the bottom of the ocean.
But not like the depths of the ocean, just like some bottom of the ocean
Yeah.
somewhere. Not like,
Yeah.
oh, 80,000 feet under or whatever.
Yeah. What is it? Is Marina's Trench like the deepest point, or am I making that up?
That sounds, I recognize the name. It sounds familiar. And I feel like that would be the only reason I would know that. But I don't know. Probably. Or maybe it's the deepest in the United States or wherever the heck it is. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think it's in the US.
look it up. Yeah.
Marina's Trench.
Yeah.
It is in the Western Pacific Ocean. It is the deepest oceanic trench on Earth.
On Earth. There we go. That's that context we
But
needed.
if it's the deepest trench, is it the deepest point or is it the deepest trench?
I think that means the same thing in a sense.
Okay.
Because we can't get deeper than that is effectively what it's saying. Like,
Suppose so.
I don't feel like there's a bottom of the oceans. Actually, that's a good point. Like, is there like
'Cause
a
it could be
bottom of
like
the ocean that's not that's like further
yeah,
in over here, like
it could
we're
be
on a
like there's
mountain
mountains and stuff, and like
and
there's a
there's
deepest
rivers
trench in the
under the
mountain, but the deepest trench in the mountain really just reaches like sea level, you know?
yeah. Interesting. I don't know. Wow, we've got so many questions about things.
Got a lot of questions this time.
Yeah. I am so into this. I don't okay,
Only 3 divers have ever explored the deepest part of Marina's Trench.
So they have been down divers. Jesus, the bends must have been crazy coming up from there.
That
How
must
do you
have
even
been
have enough
very
oxygen to get all the way
uncomfortable.
down? Or they go down in a like
Like a
one of those
sub.
little yeah, and then they leave the sub and travel further down than the sub can go. But like if the sub can't go down there, then how can a human go down there? You know what? I do not know enough about the ocean is what I can say.
Southwest of Guam.
Mm.
That's where it is.
Is this what you guys come for? Like this
Is this
weirdness?
what you
Or is this
wanted?
like, is this really annoying? Like, I feel like I could cut these out of the episodes, but like I enjoy these conversations that we get onto while we're talking about something else. But feel
It's
free
like
to
1,000% unrelated to your topic.
but like not, I mean, yes, but like not, like, you know what I mean? Like we came up with the ideas while
Gotta hear
talking.
from there.
And that's how we do so many of our episodes. It's like, oh, I was decided that I was going to talk about Quetzalcoatl this time because you mentioned it offhandedly in the Nazca Lines episode. Like, and here we
Yeah.
are, another
And here we
topic.
are.
I don't know. But feel
If you
free
hate
to,
it, you
yeah,
can tell us.
DM us or something. Let us know. We're really curious how we can improve for you guys. But yeah, anyways. So upon descending into the sinkhole, because I guess you can go into some sinkholes, he realized it was a perfectly cylindrical shaft. And at the bottom, he came to rest in an apparently ancient construction, a man-made
Okay, hold on.
tunnel.
Hold on one second. So the sinkhole was at the base of the pyramid, right?
So, oh, yes. Okay, I'll go back a
I'm
little
just
bit.
retracing where we were from.
Yeah, so we're in late 2003, and there's a tunnel discovered beneath the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, which is in Teotihuacan. Teotihuacan, which is that ancient city. So after days of heavy rain, you know, the sinkhole falls in, and there was an archaeologist nearby who was working on the Feathered Temple, I believe, and they were like, "Holy shit, there's a sinkhole! Where did that come from?" So then they, of course, were like, "Hey, well, like let's go explore this sinkhole," because I guess not all of them turn into quicksand, but just there was a tunnel and it collapsed. Effectively, is what happened. So he comes to rest at the bottom of this ancient construction, which is a man-made tunnel blocked in both directions by immense stones.
Ooh,
It was a fishery
creepy.
seal. I don't know why that makes it so much cooler. It feels so Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds like a movie. That's
It
why.
does. So, archaeologists had previously discovered a narrow tunnel underneath the Pyramid of the Sun, so they could assume that this tunnel led to the subterranean chamber beneath the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, which they hadn't known existed until this frickin' sinkhole happened. Again, so frickin' cool. It reminds me of that part in Om Seti where she falls on something and ends up
Yes.
in like some strange passageway that she can never find her way, but she only got out because animals had dug a hole somewhere in like
Yeah.
thousands of years later, and she's not even sure how to get in and out. Like, it was just, by the way, if you guys
Yeah,
have
she couldn't
not,
find it again.
yeah, if you guys haven't listened to that episode, like I personally fell in love with Om Seti and pretty much just wrote her a love letter of 2 full episodes.
It was a really good 2 episodes.
Yeah, I had fun. Honestly, like I liked the second part a little bit better than the first part, which is weird to say. I feel bad saying that, but like one is a lot more like
I mean, one's like the biography, and two's
yes,
like
the
the more in depth, like
yeah,
interesting, specific
personal
stories.
life. Yeah, like
Yeah.
her as a person as opposed to her as a historical figure. But yeah, anyways. So, because he's a responsible archaeologist, he didn't just Indiana Jones it in, but began the proper process to excavate and erected a tent over the sinkhole to preserve it while he spent the next 6 years fundraising and planning the dig. That's how long it
Jeez.
realistically takes. Be like, hey, we discovered this awesome thing, but to responsibly make sure that we preserve that knowledge for future, you know, peoples and also don't destroy what's left and then we can't even learn anything from it, we'll spend the next 6 years going through bureaucracy and paperwork and getting the proper tools and equipment and people set up. Like, it's incredible.
The what's the word? The anticipation would be
It would
killing me.
murder me. Yes. Because that's the other thing is, like, again, like, I love the idea of archaeology, but it's kind of like being like, oh, I like watching anime. Gee, I wish I could do animation. No. The actual process of doing animation sounds like fucking hell. Actual fucking hell. I
Incredibly difficult.
bow down to the people who can take that kind of shit. I don't think I could. But anyways, that was, again, like 1,000th tangent. So, my chair's kind of... I think I'm going to need to get the fabric one. This is kind of driving me nuts that it's pleather. It was cheaper, but like it doesn't feel like a cheap chair.
Worth it?
Yeah, I'm not a pleather person. I love it, the look of it so much, but like I don't like it touching me. Anyway, in that time, they did discover that the tunnel was likely sealed in 200 CE, aka 1,820 years ago, by the Teotihuacan dwellers.
Oh.
They sealed the tunnel 1,000 years ago. I don't know, I just love that. You see why I had to cover this? It's got nothing to really do with the actual like worship. Well, I mean, it does. Let's just call it.
It does.
It's the temple of the feathered serpent. But like, anyway. So, using ground-penetrating radar, which we talked about before, and a team of some 20 archaeologists and workers, they approximated a digital map of the underground tunnel and chambers so that they knew going in, like, here's where we need to dig, and like, here's what we're gonna, like, they prepared, you know what I mean? I also just loved hearing all the background of like how they got this process started. So they then explored the tunnel with remote-controlled robots called Tlaloc 2, aka TC, which I think is just adorable. And they equipped it with an infrared camera and a laser scanner that would generate three-dimensional versions of the spaces beneath the temple. So they're like, okay, we can look down and be like, this is the way that the tunnel goes and opens up into this big room. And then they send the drone in and it's like, all right, and this is what the walls look like on the inside. So they had three-dimensional versions of this before they ever even got inside. Like, that they were...
That's awesome.
I think they got this previous to actually being able to excavate. It was just like within that 6 years, I think. So ideally it wasn't just like literally paperwork for 6 years and then they began. I think
they probably did
by
some
the time
like pre
this was their like
exploration,
because I feel like it's also part of like getting the fundraising. You have to be able to show that like, hey, there's obviously something here, we'd like to go in it, here's a version of it, this is what we could potentially find, la-di-da-di-da, like to convince the government and people, and
there's a thing, fund us.
Yeah, like here you have obvious proof that this is what we're going to be doing. Like now you see all these tunnels. Let's pay me to look
business plan, archaeology style.
So finally, in 2009, the government granted Gomez permission to dig. This excavation, the deepest made into a pre-Columbian site, was part of the commemorations of the 100th anniversary of archaeological excavations at Teotihuacan and its opening to the public. So, I think that's really cool. Like, hey,
and they opened it to the public.
Well, I think it was 100 years previous that they had opened it to the public.
I see.
Yeah, it was like the celebration of like, hey, like this is a pre-Columbian site that we've been working on, and to celebrate that, we're going to be doing a brand new excavation on this site, and like, eventually, I imagine it will be open to the public, not while they're actually doing the excavation. I imagine, not that exact area. I imagine. So they found the true underground entrance, not the accidental sinkhole, sealed with large boulders nearly 2,000 years ago. And so the entrance leads to a nearly 100-meter long corridor that ends in a series of underground galleries in the rock. Work advanced at a slow and careful pace because, again, we're not just Indiana Jones in this. And it was done manually with spades. Nearly 1,000 tons of soil and debris were removed from the tunnel.
With spades. Patience. So much patience.
But man, was it worth it? Because here's what they found. So they got in and they found large spiral seashells, jaguar bones, pottery, fragments of human skin, wooden masks covered with inlaid rock, jade, and quartz, elaborate necklaces, rings, greenstone crocodile teeth and human figurines, crystals shaped into eyes, beetle wings arranged in a box, sculptures of jaguars, and hundreds of metallized spheres. So,
oh my god.
It's just like, that's what you want to find, right? It just sounds so cool.
Cool.
And they, again,
pieces of human skin is really foul, but also it's probably really like informative.
Yes, exactly. Like that was so interesting to me. I was like, okay, like how did those get there? In what way? Was it somebody like died down there, or was it something that like they were wrapping, like not mummies, but you know what I mean? Like they were burying their dead there and la di da di da. But they didn't
Yeah,
necessarily say skeletons either, so that's interesting. It's just the skin.
skin.
But I don't know that I put down
Ooh.
absolutely everything they found. Um, and they might have found more since this article was written as well. Like I found this in one source and I just freaked the fuck out. I was like, I had to put all of this in.
That's so cool. Like the crocodile teeth and jaguar bones.
Well, I think when they said greenstone, crocodile teeth, and human figurines, I don't know if they mean that they're made out of a green
Oh,
stone or if they're
I
actual.
see.
I don't
Like so they might
know.
have carved crocodile teeth out of a
Which is
stone for one
interesting
reason or
also,
another.
though, because, like, did they have crocodiles there? Like,
I feel like yes.
probably?
I feel like Mesoamerica had a
I don't know. I mean, if
crocodiles.
Florida does, then probably, right?
It's
I
like
don't.
more southern than Florida. I would have.
Yeah.
Not that that necessarily means anything. There's a lot of places more southern than Florida that don't have crocodiles. But
But I do think it's, it's rainforesty. There are probably, yeah, there are definitely crocodiles in the rainforest, right? That seems like
yeah,
something you'd see,
I've totally seen a
like a movie or something.
crocodile in a David Attenborough documentary.
Documentary. Oh my god, that's great.
Documentary.
You're hilarious. But there's more. So, this is the part I just love so much. Plus, mysterious globes lay in both the north and south chambers, ranging from
Prophecies.
40... Just like, because this is like there were different chambers inside. It just feels like a freaking video game or something, or movie, or I don't know. So, ranging from 40 to 130 millimeters, the balls have a core of clay and are covered with yellow jarosite, which is formed by the oxidization of pyrite, which is fool's gold. So
Okay.
that sounds freaking awesome, is all I can say.
Sounds really wild to see.
Right? Just be like, why
like,
are
uncover
these
that.
placed here? What were you doing with these? And why did you seal them away as well? Like, it's just so cool. It's just so cool. So, according to George Cowgill from the Arizona State University, pyrite was certainly used by the Teotihuacans and other ancient Mesoamerican societies. Originally, the spheres would have shone brilliantly, and they are indeed unique, but I have no idea what they mean. So, we're just like, cool. It's like, again, like
orbs.
it's like such a classic Indiana Jones, like walking up to a pedestal with a random orb on it and like picking it up and being like, what is this? And then like the freaking rocks come down, or I don't even know, but like I don't think the rocks happen.
Something
but kind of
dramatic happens.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. Voldemort comes out of nowhere. The Death Eaters start throwing spells at you.
You took our stuff. Give it back. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck
That's
was.
what an army of Merediths would say if you took her orbs.
Give it back. It's my orb. Hey. Yep. Be great. Anyways.
Terrifying. It would be very scary, honestly.
I mean, I got a spooky streak. So
for those who are not watching the video, Mary just did a
God.
very like sassy hair flip to go along with her
Just
spooky streak.
saying. Got a sassy spooky streak. Don't mind me. Anyways, we haven't talked in long enough. I'm just getting real derpy real fast.
Yeah, it's
so
been a while.
What does seem to be clear is that all of these artifacts were intentionally placed as if an offering to appease the gods. At the end of the tunnel is a chamber representing the underworld. So, beneath the pyramid's center, a miniature mountainous landscape was used to hold objects, including a rubber ball used in Mesoamerican ball games, representing the sun. Pools of liquid mercury in some of the tiny valleys represented lakes. So,
What?
I know. Like, if I can find images of this, I absolutely will. It literally just sounds like a freaking movie. They've like set up like just this little topography of like the world with like, how do they even get liquid mercury,
Liquid
dude?
mercury.
I mean, to be fair, it's also got like what the like lowest boiling point of like fucking anything or something. Isn't it like dumb easy to make? Like it's actually hard to make mercury solid, right?
I honestly don't know
But also
anything
like where
about
are they getting
mercury
it? Like,
except that like I don't think you want to eat it.
yeah, don't eat it. It's really bad for you as humans. I wonder if the people that placed that mercury there like died of mercury poisoning very shortly after. It's like
Yeah,
playing with
like I
uranium.
was thinking you don't want to come into contact with it
Hmm.
like on
And
your
I get the distinct
skin and
feeling they weren't
whatnot.
doing it in like they one didn't know that probably, and two weren't wearing
Yeah.
like any sort of protective gear or something. They weren't like very
Yeah.
carefully
Didn't have
with
like rubber
gloves picking
gloves on.
exactly like they're just I don't maybe not scooping it out with your hands per se, but like you find the ore or whatever. I don't know what
Yeah. They
format
probably
mercury
had
is
like
found in.
vessels of some sort and it might have like splashed and
But
gotten
also, like, do you
on
think it was like a
skin and
ceremony when putting all of that there together? Like, the
I feel
priests
like it
came
probably
in or
had to have
something.
been.
Like, one of them's holding a ball and he walks in really slowly and places it in the center. And then some people come and like draw lines with their fingers in the dirt. And then two more people come up and like pour the liquid mercury into the lakes that like swim all around the
Yeah.
ball. Like, it would be so cool.
Yeah,
Just wish I could be there
definitely
for
part
that.
of it I feel like would have been it would have taken a lot of work, to like set it
Yeah.
up. I would think that there would have been some sort of like ceremonial end cap to it.
Right? It's just like so freaking cool. Or it was literally just like some guy who was fucking around in the basement and like we're like way over freaking thinking whatever happened in that room.
So
Um,
I mean like
I'd like to
mad
think it was
sciencing
ceremonial.
and just like messing with fool's gold and liquid mercury.
Seriously, right? It's like maybe it was just like some guy who's like, this is my workshop. But probably not.
Perhaps not.
Also found were 4 greenstone statues. I should have looked up what greenstone is. Because I keep greenstone. Greenstone archaeology. Common generic term for valuable green-hued minerals and metamorphosed igneous rocks and stones, which early cultures used in the fashion of hard stone carvings such as jewelry, statues, rituals, and other various artifacts. So I guess it's not really a specific type of stone, it's just green-hued random, like it's like a larger term for like a not particularly valuable material with a green tinge. It's not jade, it's just green hued
Green.
mineral,
All right.
igneous rock. That's cool. That's cool.
Cool, cool, cool.
So they found 4 greenstone statues wearing garments and beads, and their open eyes would have shone with precious minerals.
Mm.
I know. Which is interesting that they say would have, because it's like, where did those go?
Maybe it's like the I don't know, maybe somebody broke in and stole
Except it was
some of the
sealed.
like
Like they had it
precious things.
absolutely. Or maybe it was before it was sealed. Maybe they sealed it off so people wouldn't do something like that. Maybe that's why it was sealed. They're like, oh, people
Maybe, yeah,
kept
maybe
getting
people went in
into
and
the.
stole stuff and then they sealed it, or maybe like
Yeah.
somebody
Or they
grabbed it on the way out the door
or after
before
a
it was
thousand
sealed.
years they deteriorated. I don't know. Like maybe they
Also
weren't
possible.
particularly. I don't know.
It was like a very soft something that deteriorates quickly.
Right? But 2 of the figures were still in their original positions, leaning back and apparently contemplating up at the axis where the 3 planes of the universe meet, probably the founding shamans of Teotihuacan guiding pilgrims to the sanctuary and carrying bundles of sacred objects used to perform rituals, including pendants and pyrite mirrors, which were perceived as portals to other realms. Can you freaking imagine a pyrite
Stop
mirror?
it. Stop it right now.
Just insane. This is like,
So
that was
cool.
worth the 6 years, right? That was worth
Yeah.
full 6 years waiting to get to be the first person into that freaking room. Can you bloody imagine? Like, oh god,
That'd
it'd
be
be so
so
cool.
cool. There's like thinking about, I don't know, like uncovering it and be like, oh yes, they use these pyrite mirrors as a reflection of the 3 dimensions of the universe.
So
What?
also that, like, it's kind of like, I think that's why I like archaeology so much. Like, it sounds, I mean this in the most respectful way, to both parties. It sounds like when you're like an artist and you're kind of BSing your way through meaning in a painting, you're like, oh, well, you know, it actually represents the juxtaposition between irony and, you know what I mean? Like, it's so, like,
Juxtaposition is my favorite bullshit word for art
it's
thing.
such a great word.
I
Metamorphosed.
can't tell you how many times I used that freshman year.
Cannot tell you. It's just, and it's not that it's not meaningful. It's just like, wow, you attributed way more meaning to that than was actually in it. And that's what I feel like a lot about our assumptions about archaeology
Yeah.
and anthropology, and just, we're just making it,
That's sometimes
unless they
how
wrote
I
it
felt
down.
about like classes in English.
Yes.
Like in high school when you'd be reading a book and they're like, ah yes, this particular sentence is actually the meaning of life.
And you're just like,
Like,
cheapers, you were
did
attributing a
William
lot.
Shakespeare say that? Or like did you just make it
Yes.
up?
Like, we're attributing so much more to it than, like, again, like, if 45 scholars are looking at one article, like, making wildly, again, like freaking Atlantis, he writes one friggin' story about Atlantis, and we have studied that shit for hundreds of years. We think it's all over the damn world. Like, we have, oh, well, sometimes it was actually just the meaning of, you know, this, like, it sounds like a conversation. Like, it sounds like
Yeah.
someone literally wrote down a conversation, and you are attributing it to, like, well, it was actually a very, like,
Yeah. And like some of that stuff, like there's totally basis for it. And like
some of it, yeah.
there's definitely reasons to think that like, yes,
And you
this
can
means
convince me.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But sometimes it's also like you just want it to
To
mean
mean a lot
something
more.
really important, don't
Like,
you?
oh, well, this use of this word is actually referring to this specific area because la di da di da. I was like, maybe it just fucking rhymed. Like, maybe it just fucking rhymed.
Maybe just rhymed.
Maybe they weren't thinking that hard about it. Because I can't imagine that many people were thinking that hard about things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if like being from the modern centuries, if like we've just gone soft and just don't think that hard
I
anymore.
do wonder that too. It's like, maybe you just had to try a lot harder back then. Not harder. I don't know. I don't know what
Or
I'm
like
saying.
maybe it came more naturally to like
Overthink every
there was
fucking word you
like
say.
overthink stuff or like there was less distraction with like
That's
garbage like
true.
TikTok, you know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
didn't have all this like stupid meaningless shit
Yeah.
to
Everything
distract
had
you.
like, that's like a kind of a time I want to go back to, though, where like everything had such meaning and purpose that, like, there
Yeah.
wasn't any, like, and I don't want to say there wasn't any, like, slacking off or like taking time for yourself, but like, if I could
But
spend my whole day doing like farm chores, I think I would enjoy that a hell of a lot more than, like,
yeah.
you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
so
Like, it
it's
feels
just
like
it's like
everything I do is a
hard to
purpose.
yeah, everything you do has to be productive in
Mm-hmm.
order to like survive well,
Yeah. I'm
you
so
know?
tempted to have some of these right now.
What is
For
it?
those who can see, I've got chocolate covered raisins. Really?
I hate raisins.
Oh, Gabe hates raisins too, which is why I can keep these for so long. Because they're a good treat.
Ross puts them in the banana bread that he makes sometimes, and it makes me really sad.
Oh, I feel for you, because I would be really sad if I couldn't have the banana bread.
I mean, I eat it anyway,
But
but
you're
I
not
don't like
happy
the
about it.
pieces with banana in it, or pieces with a raisin in it.
Ooh, but the pieces with the banana. Ugh. Okay, we are so off track. Woo! All right. The walls and ceilings of the tunnel were found to have been carefully impregnated with mineral powder composed of magnetite, pyrite, and hematite, providing a special brightness to the place to give the effect of standing under the stars, like the most badass recreation of the underworld. So,
That's so
like,
cool.
literally the place frickin' shined. Like, and like, if you guys know what
Ah!
hematite is, I think magnetite and hematite are both like very like chromy and dark and like blackish, but like a dark. Like it's gorgeous. Hematite's one of my favorite minerals. I
I
don't know
don't
why.
think I've actually ever seen it.
I'm just making sure. Hematite. Beautiful. It's like blackish and mirrored, and it's the color I
Oh,
want my nails to be. I'll tell you what.
gorgeous.
I
Love
know.
that for you.
I love that for
The
me.
spooky streak.
Yeah, for my spooky streak. I don't know a single place that makes. If anybody finds a nail polish the color of hematite, hit me up because I want it and I've never seen it. Anyways, for all of you that are listening to this to talk about nail polish, which is 0 of you, by 2015. Oh, thank you. Kelsey is.
Just me.
Sometimes I just get into my basic self. Anyways, by 2015, nearly 75,000 fragments of artifacts had been discovered, studied, cataloged, analyzed, and when possible, restored. The significance of these discoveries was in a major exhibition in September of 2017 at the De Young Museum in San Francisco.
Stop it!
I wanted to scream when I read that.
We were there.
Literally, we were there. You even more than me. Like, I had to still drive an hour away to get there, but I would have if I had known. Like,
I
and
hate
why
us so much right now.
I hate us so much. Like, this was blissfully pre-COVID, but like, damn, dude. Like,
That would have been so cool.
like we could have literally seen all the stuff I was literally just listing off in the museum.
What were we doing?
What were we doing?
Probably literally nothing.
Probably, because back then life was so freaking different. In 2017.
Oh, I'm so mad.
Mm-hmm. Blew my mind. I was like,
Damn it.
that's the worst part about doing this these days, is like, if I
Realizing
just
we
known
could've
this
seen
stuff
something
2 or
really
3
cool.
years ago. Yeah, like, I was there. But now I'm keeping up with
Ugh.
stuff. Like, when things come out, I can be like, oh, wow, like, still haven't
I'm
done some of the
busy.
articles I wanted to do, but like I'm still reading up on archaeology all the time. Like, so excited, like, oh, they just discovered blah 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 and blah blah blah. I'm like, yes, making history to those who care.
So cool.
Anyways,
We
so
care.
I care so much.
We won't miss the next exhibit that's literally next door.
Seriously, yes, I won't frickin' miss it this time. So, although Teotihuacan lay abandoned by 750 AD, it represents an important point in the evolution of Quetzalcoatl in Mesoamerican thought. So, in our continuing development of God, worship of the precious twin once again evolved with the immigration of the Nahua-speaking tribes from the north. The subsequent Toltec culture existed from the 9th century through the 12th centuries. However, war and human sacrifice were central figures of this culture, and they linked these with their worship of heavenly bodies. So the precious twin became the god of morning and evening star, of the morning and evening star. And his temple was the center of ceremonial life in Tula, which is the Toltec central city. So now we've gone through the Olmec civilization, the Teotihuacan civilization, and we're on the Toltec civilization afterwards. So, in his role as the two stars, Precious Twin was also a symbol of death and rebirth. So this is just like, again, adding on to like, originally he was a vegetation god, and now he's also got the calendar, and now he's also the god of the morning and evening stars. So you can see how it's very difficult to like, he's evolving through time. And again,
His
like a lot
role
of gods
has
will start to
shifted.
merge. Yes, it's evolving, and sometimes it like drops off. Like, I don't think he's still considered a vegetation god by the Toltec civilization. I think that was just the very initial beginnings, and then he grew into something else and dropped some. It's like, wow, I'm beyond
When you say
that now. I've got it
vegetation
promoted.
god, you mean like farming and
I
like
think
agriculture?
so. That's the assumption that I made. I didn't really look too far into it. But yes, that's the assumption I made. So the god was often represented in architectural sculptures and appears at many sites and temples in snake form, but rarely in human form before the late post-classical period. Somewhat simultaneously, the previous two civilizations, simultaneously to the previous two civilizations that I just talked about, the Teotihuacan and the Olmec, or the Toltec. Anyway, the Mayan were also creating temples to the precious twin. So they overlapped even in that time. I've been going down the more Aztec route, but the Mayans are doing this actually simultaneously. So a little bit about that. The location that grew in importance from about 600 to 12,000 CE was the Mayan temple of Kukulkan. As I mentioned before, the Maya people... Hold on. Sorry. Excuse me.
All right.
As I mentioned before, the Maya people worshipped a form of the precious twin that they called Kukulkan. I'm kidding. The famous step period.
Love your tour guide voice.
It makes my voice feel better. I feel like I'm like screaming right now. I don't know why. But I think I'll drive people up a freaking wall if I talk in that voice too long. I feel like rough because I've been doing so much talking lately. My voice is like shot.
Coming in and out.
It's coming in and out. But it's nice when you put on your tour guide voice and it feels so much more silky and less rough on the throat.
Like,
So
truly, you sound like you should be, I'm sorry,
like
a radio DJ for like a jazz program.
Ooh. You know what's kind of funny is I actually recently on my like Twitch stream, somebody came in and was like, "You have such a relaxing voice," and I was like,
You do.
Thank you. I'd literally never heard that before because I feel like my voice changes so often, but my main voice is like, like it's not like when I'm excited or something. Like that's when I really hear my own voice is like when I'm squealing all over the place and I'm suddenly like, oh God, what's coming out of my mouth? But I don't listen to
no, your excited voice is like, woo, but your like normal talking voice is very soothing.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I appreciate that. It caught me off guard. And I was like, that's kind of funny because I'm playing horror games. Like 2/3 of my channel is just like horror games. And I'm like, and we're gonna walk through this area. Oh gee, because I'm also like, it's normally when Gabe's asleep. So I'm trying to be extra quiet so I get really close to the mic and like lower my voice so that I'm a little bit quieter because it's the squeakiness that you could probably hear upstairs. But
yes,
it was just such a shock because I was like playing a horror game and someone came on and was like, "You have such a soothing voice," and I was like, "I don't really feel like that's what I want for this, but thank you." You know,
like, I should sound scared
or something. Like I do scream, like I do. I apologize for that to everybody, but you know what? If you're watching someone play a horror game, are you really surprised?
What do you expect?
I'm sorry. I'm like
speaking
ASMR
of which, I would like to play that game again.
Which game?
I don't know, the creepy one with the haunted things and
Phasmophobia. Oh
yeah, get that one.
Let's play Phasmo. Oh, I love that game. I'm craving it so hard. Maybe after this we'll play some Phasmophobia. I don't know. That's fine.
Maybe.
Maybe if it's not too late, which at this point it will be too late. But let's do that. I'm on like page. You know what? I can't even see. Anyway, so the Temple of Kukulkan, as I mentioned before, the Maya people were worshipped a form of the precious twin that they called Kukulkan, and they have a famous step pyramid in the ancient Mayan city of Chichen Itza, which is dedicated to the plumed serpent god. Here you'll find stone carvings of Kukulkan's head at the base of the pyramid staircases. But one of the most interesting aspects of this temple is its astronomical alignment. So,
yes,
I know. See, like I couldn't not mention this shit.
Alignment.
It was so cool. So, during the spring and autumn equinoxes, the rays of the sun cast a shadow on the side of the structure's staircase, creating the illusion of a giant serpent descending the pyramid. With the head of the Kukulkan at the base of the staircase, the illusion is only enhanced. So, like, it just looks like he's crawling out of the temple, and the head at the base is like, isn't that stupid cool? Like,
they can't.
Who wants to go here next equinox is all I can say.
Me? Me, I
meet you there
do.
at the autumn equinox. Or wait, was it
Oh
spring and
my
autumn?
god.
Yeah. We probably missed the spring one, but just saying. Be
Spring
really
one's
freaking
long gone.
cool.
We're nearing the summer solstice.
Mm-hmm. I missed the lunar eclipse like a couple days ago too, but I did hear there's a solar eclipse coming up, so I want to see that
Really?
safely. I don't remember how you like what you can wear to look at that, or
I don't
through
be-
maybe just a camera lens or something. I don't know how you view the solar eclipse. It's just a lot harder.
Whenever there was one like a few years ago, like our work gave us glasses and we like all went out and looked at it.
I'm so stupid jealous. I've never had
It
a
was
work that would
cool.
give a shit about that enough to even pay for the materials to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's freaking sweet. But anyways, so on to the human representations, because all good snaky dragony things must come to an end, I guess.
No.
I know. Like I honestly was a little bit disappointed how quickly it turned from like talking about the feathered serpent being a feathered serpent, which is what I was really excited about, and how quickly he became like a human form. And like it's still cool, but like I'm a dragon heavy person, so like I kind of wanted it to just stay a serpent forever, but whatever.
I like the anamorphic gods.
I do too. Like, why do they always have to take our form? Like, they're probably so much better in form than we are. Like, just whatever.
Right? Humans aren't that cool.
Yeah, we don't do that much different. I mean, whatever. So, from 1200 CE on, aka about 800 years ago, Precious Twin is often represented in human form, an important aspect or guise of the ancient deity, which is often named Ehecatl Quetzalcoatl, the wind god. So now he's often represented with black painted skin and wears a red mask with two protruding tubes like fang things from which the wind blows, like a duck's beak with long canine teeth.
Cool.
I feel like I'm getting weirder now that I can like now that we're on camera, I'm like kind of like this, you see? Like again, if you guys do watch the videos, I'm an idiot. I actually don't recommend, just for my own embarrassment.
Meredith.
Just no, like I recommend the audio in comparison is what I mean. I don't.
I see.
Anyways,
I
because these are the
recommend
noises
that
I can
you
just cut out.
watch what just happened because it's funny.
Anyways, I'm gonna have to cut that out because that was really loud. It, like screamed. Anyways, on his head is a cone-shaped conical hat made of ocelot skin, which is typical of the Aztec people. I know, it made me kind of sad, but I was also like, people were probably actually like back then, like maybe not eating it, but like it.
Probably
Oh my god,
it.
I've gotten nowhere so far. Did I just? Oh no, I did. I'm sorry. I accidentally just like pressed a button and it went all the way back to the top, and I thought I'd only scrolled down one page, and I was like, "Whoa, wait! Oh no!"
That would be a record for us to take an hour and a half to get through one page.
That would be a bad record. No, don't worry, we're on page 9.
Okay.
That doesn't mean I don't have lots more though. Anyways, so this was typical of the Huastec people of eastern central Mexico, though. So his headdress holds black crow and red macaw feathers, and may also have had a hat band that holds sacrificial implements. He also may have a flower and a fan of black and yellow feathers.
Black and yellow, black and yellow.
Oh, black and yellow, black and yellow.
What happened to Wiz Khalifa?
I don't know. Probably still making music. I don't have as many opportunities to like find new music, I feel like.
I think I stopped looking for Wiz Khalifa because I don't really want to know.
That's fair. I don't really. I do like the song though.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I also like the Young and Wild and Free from freshman or sophomore year.
Yeah. Oh my god. Good times.
That was my jam.
My jam. Miss College. So he's usually wearing shell jewelry, and his earrings are often turquoise or jade circles with hanging red tassels and a spiral shell. So, like,
Can I have a pair?
right? Fashionable. I'm just saying. Like, this guy's got a look, and it's a nice one. Just saying. The god
He
often
sounds
wears.
festive. I like it.
I know. Like, you should. I'll find some good photos of like just like that describe him well. I think because it's definitely like a really fun looking god in my opinion. Maybe that's a weird way of putting it, but um,
Aesthetically pleasing.
aesthetically pleasing god. The god often also wears the wind jewel, and I'm going to try my best. Wait, you know what? I'm not. I looked this up ahead of time. So I practiced it a bunch and then I spent 2 weeks not saying it. Um God. I'm gonna try it, you guys, okay? I'm gonna try it. Ehikalakot Ehikakal Ehikalakotscatl. Ehikal I'm not trying again. It's
Ooh.
basically a cross section of a conch whirl worn as a chest piece. So this is
Oh,
connected
cool.
with a myth that I'll get into later concerning the underworld. I looked it up earlier and I can't. I feel bad. I should have, before we started this, like re-looked up how to say everything. This one was a hard one to find though.
Yeah, sometimes it's really tough to find those pronunciations.
Ehikal Quetzalcoatl. That's what I'm gonna go with. Anyway, his scarf, bracelets, and ankle bands are also made of ocelot skin, and the scarf is decorated with small shells that would make a rattling sound.
Ooh.
Anyway, another godly transformation of the precious twin would happen in the Aztec times, which is 14th to 16th centuries, aka 620 to 420 years ago,
Okay.
where the precious twin then became revered as the patron of priests, the inventor of the calendar and of books, and the protector of goldsmiths and other craftsmen. Maybe because he's got great fashion. I don't know why. In this representation, he became the first to perform self-sacrifice by pricking parts of the body with cactus spines or animal bone needles to draw blood. This is
Oh,
actually represented in his form by the green snake-shaped band ending in a turquoise disc with the symbol of the precious liquid or human blood. So,
creepy.
once you see photos of not photo with whatever representations of it, you'll see that. As a
Okay.
priest, he would also be shown holding an incense burner with a handle shaped like a serpent in one hand and an incense bag in the other hand. The Aztecs also drew upon long-standing traditions that associated the precious twin with science, arts, and learning, as well as the planet Venus. So the Aztecs also credited the precious twin with the creation of the universe, humanity, and their most important crop, corn. And as if this were not enough, he was closely associated with rain, potentially again due to his allyship with Tlaloc, the rain god.
Okay.
The precious twin actually became associated with the wind specifically as a bringer of rain clouds, which was important to a society that depended on agriculture. So he's not
Sure.
exactly like a rain god, he's like the wind that
Mm,
brings the rain
brings the
clouds.
rain.
And rain is Tlaloc, but wind is Quetzalcoatl. Like, it's very interesting. But
Yeah.
speaking of
No,
rain,
I like that like spin on the rain god. Like it doesn't bring. He's
yeah,
not the rain god. He's the bringer of rain
yeah, he's kind of
god.
the bringer of the rain god because they're an allyship and they're good buddies. So,
Yeah.
you know, blow the wind this way so that the clouds come and pour their rain upon us. But the rain god himself, the second deity associated with Venus, was not just the god of rain, he was also the god of earthly fertility and water. In the Aztec civilization, Tlaloc usually had like goggle eyes and fangs, and is often depicted with lightning, maize, and water. Maize like corn.
Okay. Mhm.
So also associated with corn. Um, Offerings dedicated to Tlaloc in Tenochtitlan were known to include several jaguar skulls and even a complete freaking jaguar skeleton.
Oh, that's
Um,
so cool.
I know, right? Can you imagine stumbling upon like a full skeleton? Like, Apparently
Like, I
jaguars
feel
were
bad for
considered
the jaguar, but that's really cool.
Yeah, exactly. But like they were also considered the ultimate sacrificial animal due to their value and also likely the danger of convincing someone to sacrifice it to the gods, you know what I mean?
Go after a jaguar.
Yeah, like if you're gonna try to convince a jaguar to be a sacrifice, you're gonna have a little trouble. So good
Yeah,
luck.
I don't think that's gonna be just like a hey buddy, would you mind just
Would you mind just standing right here for a little while?
right
This is
here?
gonna hurt a little bit, but it'll be over soon, and then you'll be with your god, right? The rain god. You worship him too, right? Jaguars. Yeah,
This is
exactly.
for your benefit as
This
well.
is for you. This is for the rain. Just saying. So Tlaloc was widely worshipped as a beneficent giver of life and sustenance, but was also feared by his ability to send hail, thunder, and lightning. So he was the lord of the powerful element of water.
Ugh.
Also, though, only some sources actually associate Tlaloc with Venus, and often when in combination with the precious twin, or in times when Tlaloc was associated with warfare, which I honestly didn't find all that interesting. So he had other cooler aspects. I don't actually really talk about that much, but that was the connecting factor between all three of these gods when I was initially doing this research. I was like, I want to cover not just Quetzalcoatl, but also Tlaloc and, the sickly god, the sickly dog god, which I don't feel like saying his full name right now. But Tlaloc was also associated with caves, springs, mountains, and most specifically the sacred mountain in which he was believed to reside. His
Oh, very
animal
cool.
forms include herons, water-dwelling creatures such as amphibians, snails, and possibly even sea creatures, particularly shellfish. I'll be honest, when I first read that, I was thinking more serpent and Nessie, less shrimp. But, a giant
Was he
nautilus would be cool.
related
The Kraken.
to Scorpio? Scorpio is a water sign, and it's
Huh.
just like crab. The Cancer is crab, and
Huh. That's interesting. I wonder. What is the Scorpio? You said I thought it was a scorpion.
you know what? And that actually has always confused me because I thought that Scorpio was a scorpion, but Scorpio is also a water sign.
That is confusing. It's not like scorpions are like camels or something.
Yeah, like they don't like chill in the
It's
water.
not like
I
they
don't
have water
think.
despite everything else in the desert. And I don't feel like they live in not. Are there scorpions in like rainforests? Like a different type of scorpion?
I have zero clue.
Yep. I don't know. I'm just picturing him as like a giant shrimp, to be honest. Also, plus technically, like a nautilus, I think, is a shellfish because if a mollusk can be a shellfish, like, does that make all mollusks shellfish? Or is that like a whale fish question, Like,
That's a very good question.
because, like, it has a shell. Like, a nautilus is, I think, a shellfish. Or technically, I think it's a mollusk, but I think a mollusk is a shellfish.
I'm not super up on my mollusk to
Me neither, I don't know enough about mollusks.
nor do
Anyways,
I.
the Mexican marigold was another important symbol of the god and was burned as a ritual incense in religious ceremonies, which just sounds like it would smell really good. Like just like burning marigolds. I don't know. The cult of Tlaloc is one of the oldest and most universal in ancient Mexico. The name Tlaloc is the Aztec deity's name, but the worship of a storm god like Tlaloc, associated with mountaintop shrines and life-giving water rainness, is at least as old as Teotihuacan, and similar to Precious Twin, he is a god shared with the Mayan, whose rain god is called Chaak, I think. Chaak.
Okay.
Chaak. Hawk. There's two A's. I don't know. He also could have been based on an earlier Olmec god or from like melding in the nearby civilizations. Because again, like the Mayan and the Aztec were really close together, but two entirely separate places, but also seem to share a lot of gods and worship.
Yeah,
And
I was just gonna say, like, you probably didn't come across this unless you just happened to know the answer, but was there a lot of like cross-pollination between the Mayan and Aztec people? Like, did they like go between
I believe
each
so. I
other's
believe so.
towns and stuff?
I think since they were actually, I don't remember exactly when each civilization ended, but I do think they had interactions with each other
Okay.
while both existed, I believe. I
Okay.
think I mentioned that
I
at
was gonna
some
say.
point, maybe, but I don't know.
I always find it really interesting, like when there's certain like deities and gods that have crossover in
Hmm.
cultures that have not come into contact.
Yes, I really like that. But I do feel
Yeah,
like these ones did, like, I think there
they did.
has been some evidence that they, like, traded and stuff like that.
Okay.
I don't think they were,
Yeah,
like,
I figured.
super close, but, like, close enough that, like, peoples could have traveled between, and
Yeah. I feel like when
yeah.
people talk about, they're like, oh yeah, the Mayas and the Aztecs. And it's like, okay, so
Yeah,
they
yeah.
probably had some sort of cross
Mhm.
pollination.
I think so. I think so. But I could be wrong about that, so don't quote me. But let's get into the meat and potatoes I've been so excited about, which is the mythology. Oh yeah.
Or is it the gravy?
Ooh, ooh, ooh. I think it's the gravy. I like that.
All
You're right.
right,
That was
all
the meat
right.
and potatoes that we just had, but this is the gravy that just like melds it all together and makes it freaking
Sauce
delicious.
me up.
Sauce you up, girl. Ooh, ooh. I don't. I mean, anyway.
Moving on.
So the Quetzalcoatl in creation myths is where I'm going to start. I'm going to try to go like somewhat in order, but they're not exactly in order, you know. They're
Okay.
mythology. So version 1 of the creation myth was cooperation. As I mentioned before, in Aztec time, the precious twin rose to the status of a creator god, and according to the Aztecs, the precious twin was one of 4 sons of the original creator gods. So, along with his brothers, blah, blah, Tezcatlipoca, Tezcatlipoca, Tezcatlipoca. Keep saying it the
Mm-hmm.
same way.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably just how I'm going to go with it.
Okay.
The precious twin was given the task of creating the world along with his brother, Tezcatlipoca. In one version of the myth, the brothers managed to cooperate, creating the earth and the sky by transforming themselves into giant serpents and ripping in half a reptilian monster known as Sipactli, Kipactli, or
Vicious.
Tlaloc. Again, a lot of these, because they were really specific mythology, I just did not find pronunciation. So they were like, good fucking luck. Like, give it a shot. So, yeah, that giant serpent,
Okay.
or reptilian, not serpent, because they were serpents. She was a reptile. I guess there's a difference. And because more detail is always more fun, apparently this unfortunate reptile was a primeval sea monster, part crocodile, part fish, or part toad or frog. So I just
Oh.
want to know what that looks like. But always
And
hungry.
why did she make the sun,
Oh, we'll get
or
into
the
it.
sky and the earth?
We'll get into it.
And where was she if there was no sky and earth?
I have to wonder if they were all just kind of floating in nothingness. Just like
Just
floating out
chilling.
there, but
They
like,
were the Big Bang.
yeah. Well, but that, I think they were saying like there were creator gods, and then the creator gods' 4 sons, one of them being Quetzalcoatl and his brother Tiblible. Um Tetzcotlipoca. Tetzcotlipoca. So these 2 are the
Okay.
ones that were tasked with creating Earth, I suppose. Maybe the other ones were off creating Jupiter, I don't know. But sounds like they got to have way more fun because we have life. Anyway.
I was gonna say whoever made the other planets sucked.
Yeah, you guys didn't do a good job. Just saying, there's a lot more going on here. But then again, as far as we know, maybe we just haven't dug deep enough. I don't know.
You got the Bajork Ingalls of Earth creation.
I'm just picturing like they were just like little nothings in the world, like just ethereal presences, and then their mom and dad are like, create Earth. And they're like, spectacular. First thing we're going to do is create serpents and become them. And then there's another one who also just somehow managed to create itself as a sea monster of the universe. Good point. Good point.
All right.
But she's just hanging out in the stars too, and they're like, hey, we need you, girl. But also like, okay, I'm gonna read the description again because it's just, part crocodile, part fish, part toad or frog, always hungry. Every joint on its body was adorned with an extra mouth. So just let that sink in.
Ew! What?
Yeah. Your elbows can eat things. Your knees
Ew, and if
can
you're
eat
like a
things.
frog, then there's like a mouth on like the back of your elbow that's like going in the wrong direction. Ugh.
Every joint. So anyways, Quetzalcoatl actually sacrificed a foot to this adventure, using it as bait to draw the monster near before his brother and him ripped it in half. So half of the reptile became the sky, and the other half became the earth. Trees, plants, and flowers sprang from the dead reptile's hair and skin, and springs and caves were made from the eyes and nose. The valleys and mountains came from her mouth. So it's just like, it's again a very like lovely little mythology. Like,
is it?
I mean, lovely maybe
They
not the
ripped
right word.
something in half, and now we
It's
live
like a grim
on
tale.
a dead reptile who has mouths on all of their joints.
Good point. That's why there's so many valleys and shit. The valleys and mountains came from her mouth, but she's got a lot of mouths because she's got one on every friggin' joint.
At a valley the same way ever again.
I hope you don't. I hope you think of this every time.
We were planning on going hiking on Sunday in every mountain and every
just
valley.
A big mouth from a creepy old reptile.
Big creepy reptile mouth.
Dwell on that. Yep.
I will.
In some stories, the unwillingly sacrificed spirit of Quetzalcoatl, anyway, the reptilian lady, was understandably upset to have lost her physical body in such a brutal attack, and the only way to appease her was through sacrifice of blood and hearts. This is actually one of the ways that rituals of human sacrifice were justified in Mesoamerican cultures. Because she's like, give me back the body from which you have taken. They're like, fine, people, give your bodies to make reptile happy. Nah, mean.
Did it work? I feel like it didn't work.
I mean, I don't see her around. If she was doing it for the sake of just, maybe it was just like out of vengeance, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like she was going to build something out of all of those extra bodies and suddenly become.
Just like wanted people to suffer.
Mm-hmm. It's like, you took my body so you can live, so every once in a while you have to give me back one just because I said so. Because I want it.
A little snot.
Yeah. Although to be fair, like, they came up on her all randomly and ripped her in half. Even if she was a little scary, she didn't deserve to be ripped in half and turned into a planet, you know?
That's true. She wasn't
rough.
Eating anybody.
Yeah, I was like, that's the thing, is like, they didn't specify like what she ate. It was like, nothing was created yet. What were you eating? Stars? I don't know.
Maybe she was hungry, but she wasn't hurting anybody.
Yeah. She was always hungry, but it might be because she never got to eat anything. She's just like, anything that passes by one of my mouths, this time I'll eat, this time!
Oh, so sad.
It's very sad. And then she's ripped apart. But in version 2...
we live on her dead body.
And now we live on her dead body in her many maws. You know?
Ugh. I hate that word.
Maw. Maw. Maw.
I think that's why I don't like it, because there's like ma like mom, and there's ma like maw. Just, hate it.
It's fucking great. It's fucking great. So in version 2 of the creation myth, the brothers are actually less agreeable, which is the conflict version. So in the alternate version, the brothers constantly fight with each other, which results in the creation and destruction of several successive ages. So while at first they cooperate, making fire and the heavens and the waters and the great fish whose flesh became the earth, it was the creation of the sun that gets everybody riled up. At first they created half a sun, but the half sun did not give off enough light, so the precious twin's brother decided to transform himself into the sun. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, Precious Twin didn't agree with this, and a long struggle ensues, with the brothers knocking each other out of the sky and placing different deities there as the sun. Because I guess he was like, no, you can't be the sun. I don't really want to be the sun, but you can't be the sun. So, during the first stage, for instance, the Precious Twin knocked his brother from the sky with a stone club, causing his enraged brother to turn into a jaguar and eat all the people. Because that seems like a fair exchange, right?
It is definitely the people's fault, and they deserve to be eaten.
Mm-hmm. Also, like, I feel like he was an extra big jaguar, you know? To be fair, maybe there weren't that many people yet, and maybe they just started in that one location. They hadn't gotten that far into their progression, but, like...
Still. They made some progress, I'm sure.
Yeah, they made some progress. They were around. So, after causing great destruction with fire, floods, freaking rampaging giants, a tornado, and even managing to collapse the heavens themselves, the brothers finally reconciled... I know, it's just like, it's so extra. They're like, no, you can't be the sun. Fine, this guy will be the sun. No, I don't like that one. Let's pick someone else. Fine, here, try this one. And then just like, everyone's like, day, night, day, death, night. Like, sucks. It's like, tornadoes. Oh my god, there's rampaging giants. It sounds like 2020. Like what? There's fires. Truly. Wait, no, there are floods too? Wait, there are giants now? Hornets? Wait, and a tornado? Oh god. Like
one thing after another.
Yeah. So humanity died 4 times before the current age. Because the brothers, again, they finally reconcile and they repair the damage and create a new sun by sacrificing Precious Twin's own son. Because somehow that works out in the long run. Like,
so what I'm hearing here is that he loves his brother too much to let him be the son, but he doesn't love his son enough.
But they kind of made it sound like he was jealous of his brother for becoming the son. But at the same time, it's like, why? But maybe because, like, everyone's going to worship the sun then. Like, you're the sun.
That's true. Everybody worship the sun.
So maybe that was what it was. He's like, no, someone valuable and worthy needs to go there, but it can't be you because, like, I'm jealous and we all have a lot of jealousy involved in our relationship as equal gods under this creation god.
Gosh darn jealous gods.
It's so common. But yeah, so according to the Aztecs, the cycle of creation and destruction happened 4 times, and we're now living in the 5th age. To be fair, the same brother of the Precious Twin was the god of the night sky, specifically night winds, obsidian, jaguar, sorcery, beauty, and enmity, discord, hurricanes, war, and strife. So...
Love that they had a god for sorcery.
I know. He was like, it's actually far more than that. I just kind of cut it off at a certain point, but there were more things revolving around sorcery, but like in more specifics. I just thought it was so freaking cool. Like, the god of the night and of discord and hurricanes and strife. Like, they weren't gonna get along, you know what I mean?
What an intro.
What an intro. And boy, does this guy hold a grudge. Because on to our next myth, the end of the Precious Twin. Unfortunately, conflict was not uncommon between these two gods. In Toltec mythology, which is still told in Mexico, they tell of when the Precious Twin fell ill. Fun fact, in this myth, the Precious Twin was a priest king of Tula and never offered human sacrifices, only plants, snakes, birds, and butterflies. He actually did not accept human blood. Just a random fun fact. But anyways, this brother wanted to be rid of the Precious Twin because he was still butthurt over not getting to be on the sun, I guess. I don't know. Like, so anyways, he took this opportunity when the Precious... He's just like, you know what? I wanted to be the sun and you didn't let me, so now that you've fallen ill, I'm going to take this opportunity for a devious plan to corrupt the Precious Twin by giving him an intoxicating drink. So, as drunkenness was forbidden, his brother actually disguised himself as a medicine man and offered his ill brother alcohol disguised as a medicinal potion. The disoriented god coupled with his sister while inebriated.
Uh-oh.
And out of remorse for his incestuous relation, the now sober precious twin either wanders all the way down the Atlantic coast or sails away into the east on a raft made of snakes and disappears behind the eastern horizon. I kind of just want to see this raft made of snakes, to be perfectly honest, because it just sounds bomb, and I feel like it would kind of work. You know what I mean?
Sounds really scary.
But, like, he's a snake god in a sense, so, like, he's not... Those his
Picturing
brethren.
the visual. Like, I'm sure it's, like, totally
because
chill
like
for
they'd have
him,
to
but,
like
thinking about, like, standing on the shore watching a man
and all
on
the
a
heads
snake
would have to be up,
raft.
you
Yeah,
know?
and, like,
He's like standing on their
wiggling.
heads. It's like watching them all like weave together and then like stick their little heads up so they can like float down the river. Like, be really fucking
That'd be
great.
real weird.
You're just like sitting in the middle of like a bunch of just direct snake heads that are like, I want to draw this. Fucking
Do it.
woven
Do
snakes. Anyways, some scholars, and according to like Britannica, actually suggest that the brothers' victory over the precious twin was a reflection of real events. So in the first century of the Toltec civilization was likely dominated by the Teotihuacan culture, which, if you recall, was the civilization before whose 3 pyramids were discovered and whose inhabitants' ancestry is debated. However, the civilization after the Toltec, the Aztec, apparently claimed that the Teotihuacan were their ancestors. So we don't have like actual proof that the Teotihuacans became the Aztec, but it's likely.
The Aztec said so.
Okay. Anyway, so the Teotihuacan ideals of priestly rule and peaceful behavior may have inspired the Toltec civilization. However, pressure from the northern immigrants brought about social and religious revolution, leading to the military ruling class seizing power from the Toltec priests. So they're like, no, we're going to stop being maybe not an oligarchy, but some sort of religious-based civilization. Now the military is taking over.
Military.
So,
Gross.
right? Like,
Don't love it.
I mean, depends on, like, but also, like, they didn't have, like, human sacrifice or anything. It wasn't something to be, like, necessarily offended by, but, like, maybe it was just a, you know, religious revolution of sorts.
Yeah.
You know. And then, theoretically, Quetzalcoatl's defeat symbolized the downfall of classic theocracy. So his sea voyage to the east could be connected with the invasion of the Yucatan by a different tribe that showed strong Toltec features. There is some suggestion that the Spanish conquistador Cortez, who's later famously overthrew the Aztec, was mistaken for the prophesized return of the precious twin, assisting in the ease with which he destroyed the civilization. But honestly,
bummer.
This is hotly debated as a misinterpretation, though, so I'm actually not going to dive into it here, but there's a lot of arguments that, like, that's total bullshit, and that was just, like, white people being like, oh, I came in and they thought I was a god, so I overthrew them. Like, it might just be, like, some sort of the form of, like, whitewashing of religious histories and culture and whatnot like that. So I don't really get into it. Yeah. That could be its whole own fucking episode if I felt like debating it. And I don't feel like
it's a bummer either way.
Yeah. I mean, it's still true that Cortez overthrew them, but it's not necessarily that they thought he was a god. They just might have been a more peaceful peoples and whatever.
He either did the, like, white people pedestal thing or was actually an asshole.
Yeah. Well, because basically what the thought had been was that because the precious twin was, like, prophesized to return on a something year, and Cortez showed up on a something year, they were like, oh, this is the great return. Might have been 100 years, but it was a whatever type of year it was. I don't remember what it was, to be honest, because I, again, didn't do a lot of research on it. Hi, kittens. Here, let me get my raisins out of the way. So sorry. I feel like my gain is also up really high, so you can, like, really hear all that. Hi, kitten. You gonna come snugs? Can you come snug? Can you not step on the keyboard, though? Oh, okay. You can't have my water either. You can't have my water either. I love you.
Boop.
Hopefully he doesn't get mad, because sometimes when I move him away from what he wants, he's like, no! I'm sorry. Don't bite me, though, because we're big boys. Anyways,
Jerk.
in another version, the poor precious twin awakes after coupling with his sister and is so ashamed he literally sets himself on fire. And after he is totally burned up, his heart rose into the sky to become the planet Venus, which is called the morning star because it is seen before sunrise. For this
Aw.
reason, he is also often referred to as Lord of the Dawn. Can you please get your face out my water, biche? I love you, but I don't want your saliva, because I already eat all of your fur. All of your fur. Na 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 na, all of your fur. Bop, 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 bop. Anyway, that brings us to the third Mesoamerican deity of Venus. Xolotl, I think it is. But let me double check again, because again, I did all of this before. I don't mean to be doing this like on here, but I wrote down the pronunciations, but it really helps to like hear it one time so I can make sense of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
I want to hear it. Nope, that's not right. That's okay. Whatever. I think it's Xolotl.
Xolotl.
Xolotl. Xolotl. I think that's it. It's Xolotl.
Okay.
Yes, Xolotl. Okay, we got there, I think. Xolotl was the Aztec god of the evening star, which is Venus after sunset. So again, the precious twin was referred to as the Lord of the Dawn, or the morning star, which is seen before sunrise. And Xolotl is the Aztec god of the evening star, seen after sunset. Sunrise, sunset.
Okay.
This is why it is often referred to as Quetzalcoatl's twin brother as the dark and light sides of Venus, the evening and morning stars, hence the nickname I've been using, Precious Twin. Unlike his brother, however, who is literally named Precious Twin, Xolotl is traditionally given negative attributes. The less
Poor
fortunate
Xolotl.
twin. I know, poor guy, I feel for him. Because it's kind of... Poor guy. The less fortunate twin is associated with dogs and was worshipped by the Aztecs of the god of lightning, fire, twins, deformities, sickness, and misfortune.
Oh.
So, Xolotl's...
I like how twins is thrown in with deformities and...
See, that's another thing. Like, I remember that being something I heard about in some culture where, like, they thought twins were bad luck, and if you had twins, you were supposed to, like, throw them into the forest. And, like... I think it's Spanish, because I think that might have been connected to that wolf god that, like, it's like the wolf that took care of two twin boys and they grew up to be like the founders of some city or something in Spain.
Oh, wait, no. That's Rome.
Rome? It's Rome? Is it? Okay.
It's Rome, yeah.
Okay. I vaguely... I don't know if that actually has a connection. I just picking random facts out of my mind that aren't actually facts because I don't know my shit.
Yeah, I don't remember why they were in the woods, but I'm pretty sure it was the two brothers that founded like the Roman Empire.
I think you're right. And they were nursed by a wolf and raised by wolves. I love that idea so much. But
I really don't.
Yeah, I do remember that being a thing in some cultures where like twins were like bad juju, and they're like, oh no, get rid of them.
Romulus and Remus.
There you go. Yeah, Romulus and Remus. Also, just gonna like snitch out a frame really quick. 1 second, please.
I was trying sitting on the floor today for the first time, and I gotta tell you, might not be as comfy as I was expecting.
Yeah, I understand that. I tried that for a while in the closet and wherever it was that we lived, but
I think I need to just like elevate my butt a little bit more. I don't know.
I feel that. Oh shit. Sorry. I accidentally made you really teeny. Hold on, I gotta bring you back.
She
I gotta bring you back.
wasn't itsy weensy teeny weeny.
Lemon squeezing in it, right? Isn't it like a
Itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini and got
oh
you all for
yeah,
the first time today.
lemon squeezy? No, that's not it. Fucking lemon squeezy. Fucking idiot. Anyway.
I liked it.
Sorry, I had to readdress my notes. So, Xolotl's connection with sickness was evident in his physical form as well as how he is symbolized. He's shown with an emaciated skeletal frame with feet reversed and empty eye sockets. All physical attributes of his association with deformities. So, eek.
He's got it rough.
Like a dog with backwards feet and a skeleton frame and empty eye sockets. Could actually be kind of cute if done right.
What?
If done right, like a oh, I'm just a little skeleton dog. Like I'm picturing him like Casper or something like that. He just like has a skeleton dog that runs around and is like, oh, I died a few years ago. Whoops, my feet go in circles. Hee! Like, because they're just skeletons. They're not held by tendons or anything. Like, he could be kind of cute.
I feel like I think it's the eye socket thing.
But like
I think it'd be really hard to make the eye sockets not weird.
I mean, yeah, no, it's definitely it's rough because also he's got a skeletal frame, but it's not like he's actually a skeleton. He's like just an emaciated dog, which is kind of sad. Yeah, but also without eyes.
Poor Pooch.
I know, poor guy. But he also had a role in the creation story actually, and it's kind of sad. Xolotl was also around for the creation myth when the gods created the fifth sun. They realized it did not move. So now I imagine it takes a lot of energy to create a star of hot freaking plasma, so they decide to sacrifice themselves in order to get the sun to move. So Xolotl acted as the unfortunate executioner and killed the gods one by one. Now, in some versions of the myth, Xolotl dutifully commits suicide afterwards, as he was expected to do, but other legends say he did not partake in this ceremony, and the poor guy cried so much that his eyes literally fell out of their sockets, explaining why he's represented with empty eye sockets.
Oh.
Because he had to kill everyone he knew and loved, and then just like live on afterwards. I was like, isn't that fucking tragic? Like,
that is very, very tragic.
I know. Poor like, he doesn't catch a break no matter what. Like, I don't, like, by partake, I'm not sure if they meant he wasn't expected to commit suicide, but was still the executioner, which would have been truly horrific, and metaphorically crying your eyes out doesn't really seem all that surprising. However, in other versions, Xolotl is more of a trickster and performs a series of transformations to escape the sacrifice. He first transforms into a young maize plant, aka Xolotl, then an agave, aka a mexolotl, and finally a salamander you may have heard of, the axolotl. Unfortunately, not even this saves him, as he is eventually discovered and killed by the god Quetzalcoatl, the human form of Quetzalcoatl. So, again, you can see why this is confusing, and like Quetzalcoatl seems to be an evolution of the precious twin, but maybe he's like a reborn version instead, because didn't he just kill himself to become the sun, but then returns to kill his brother to make sure that, and then can he return too? But I guess after he dies, theoretically, he becomes like an underworld sort of god as well, so like, not exactly, but like
there's like a lot of variation to keep track of.
Exactly. So I was like, I don't know exactly, like, if I'm getting all of this right. Hopefully I'm getting it as close as possible. Again, feel free to correct me if you know the more traditional stories. I also feel really weird about going to English sites to learn stuff about specific cultures. Like, I feel like we've either like whitewashed it, or we've gotten it wrong, or we didn't care enough to like get the facts like straight before. Like, I just feel like an old story that was like translated from the original language, I think would make a lot more, like, I'd feel like it was a better source, but that's kind of hard to find.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, I feel like, especially, I don't know, like Google doesn't show you the Spanish sources necessarily.
Yeah, I did find a couple, and I tried to like do translations, but my Spanish is rusty, and I think Google Translate helps a bit, but I still feel like I don't feel confident making sure I've gotten the proper like maybe I'm gonna be the one mistranslating it then or misunderstanding it then. So I don't really want that either. I'd rather someone who's already taken the time to translate it so I can understand it properly. Like, I didn't know the word for maze in Spanish. Like,
Whatever.
regardless, after the creation of the sun, of the world and the sun, the two gods then created other things, such as the first man and woman. So I guess they're still buddies despite the dying part, you know? Like,
Still
however,
have to work together. They might just not love
yeah.
each other.
Like, I don't know. I feel like they're just like, oh, I killed you again. Sorry, bro. Whoops.
Whoops.
Like a supernatural episode or something. I don't know.
Did you ever watch any of like Sabrina, the Teenage Witch, the new one
Ye-
on Netflix?
Yes.
And
Not
Hilda,
enough of
like,
it. Yeah,
oh,
Hilda
there's
and,
like a
and
whole thing of like Hilda kills her sister a whole bunch
like
of
all the
times and she comes
time.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, like because she can come back, it's just like satisfying way to like resolve an argument for them. But like she gets so sad about the idea of her sister actually dying. She's like, no, I would never actually want. Like, it doesn't matter how many times I've killed her. She always comes back. You see, like,
I
yeah.
wouldn't actually kill her.
I actually want to kill her. That's my worst nightmare. I need my sister around. It's so funny, so sweet, in a weird, fucked up way. Like,
really weird show.
super toxic way, you know. However, the mythology of human creation sounds like it was also no easy task. The more precious twin had to go to the underworld and collect some bones from the previously destroyed races of humans, and he took his less precious twin brother, Xolotl, with him. I assume
That's
it's
precious.
not. I know, right? But I also assume it's not just like for twinny time, but like because, as mentioned before, he's the psychopup. Sorry, psychoPOMP. He's the psychoPOMP or guide to the afterlife.
Okay.
So, you know, it's not just like, hey, twinny bro, let's go down and create humans together. He's like, hey, guide me down to the underworld like you do, and I'll create humans. You know, I don't know for sure.
Every time you
But
say psychopomp, I think of characters in Borderlands.
oh fuck yeah, they would be a character in Borderlands. I feel like, yeah.
There's somebody called like the psycho. There is a psycho character.
Isn't he called like Psycho Badass or something? I don't know.
There's you know how there's like the different levels of things. There's like
Yeah.
there's psychos and there's psycho badasses and then there's anyway.
Oh fuck, I love that game. I haven't played in a long
Such a good
time. I
game.
feel like I should play again. It's a good fucking game.
I haven't finished like the second game, but there's a third. Like they released the third one, and I want to play the
I haven't
third
played the
one.
third one yet. Yeah. The second game is really great, to be honest.
I haven't finished.
Do it. So anyways, upon arriving, the two gods that the what?
Takes so much time.
But like it's good time. It's like fun time.
It's
But I
fun
get your
time,
point.
but like I have more fun not at my computer.
I mean, I get that conceptually, but in practice, I spend 2/3 of my life on the computer now, so
Sure.
you know, more than that actually, probably 3/4 easy between streaming and podcast work and like just scrolling the interwebs and watching other people's Twitch. Like I just spend a lot of time on the computer. But soon I'll have a job, so it won't really matter. Anyways.
You will?
Well, I mean, I will be finding one. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I don't have anything like lined up.
Something lined up.
No, I have nothing lined up. I just need one, and I'm gonna make it happen.
On it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Cool. East time. I'm gonna hate it, but it's time. So the two gods arrived in the underworld, and the precious twin was given a puzzle to solve before he could take the bones. The two gods that ruled the underworld gave the precious twin a puzzle. And he was told to blow a conch shell horn that had no hole in it. So the clever precious twin got worms to make holes in the shell and then put bees inside it so the shell would make a sound. Which I think is just hilarious. I'm just like, why wouldn't you just make the holes and then blow on it? But you're like, no. Bees. That's put bees in it. Mm-hmm.
That'll do it.
He just seems more like a trickster in the end. Like, I don't feel he's like, fine, I'll get your shell to make noise, but I'm not going to do it in the way you'd expect. I'm going to put fucking bees in there. Deal with it.
Yeah, it feels very like
Just feels trickstery.
You know, have you seen New Girl?
Not really, to be honest.
Okay, that's fine. Never mind. There's a character, like his pranks are always like too big or too small.
Oh, okay.
And that's just like kind of what that reminded me of. Like,
I get it.
Like, I put bees in there, and he's like, okay.
Why?
Sure.
That's fucking hilarious. So according to some sources, this is actually the conch he wears as a chest piece, the one I mentioned earlier that I couldn't bloody well pronounce.
Oh. Yeah.
That's theoretically that shell from when he created humanity. So, although he completed the task, the precious twin decided he was going to steal some of the bones anyways, and then pretend he was leaving the underworld with nothing. Because why not, I guess? No logic. He passed the test, he could take them rightfully, and they were like, nah, let's steal some.
Nah.
Let's make it more difficult. So of course he was caught by the underworld gods and proceeded to fall into a pit that was made as a trap for him, where he dropped the male and female bones and they mixed together. I don't know what difference that makes, to be honest, because it seems to go fine anyways. Because he manages to escape the pit, and then he takes the bones to the snake goddess of childbirth, not the one we mentioned earlier, who was ripped in two, by the way. So then she just forms them into human beings by mixing the bones with corn and some of the precious twins' own precious blood. Apparently, again, from these self-inflicted wounds to his earlobes, calves, tongue, and because why not, his penis too.
Sure, throw it all in there.
Throw it all in there. Blood from everywhere. You never know what you're going to need. Never know. Make some
Just
humans.
to be safe.
Just to be safe, really. Just a little nip on the dick, you know? Anyway.
Just the two.
I don't know why I said that. Anyways, following the Spanish conquest of the 1500s, the already complex mythology around the precious twin became even more twisted, and this was not helped, of course, by the priests, famous rulers, and even dinosaurs who adopted the name. So, whichever evolution of the deity, whichever evolution of the deity, it remains a fact that today the legend and symbolism of the Quetzalcoatl, aka Precious Twin, is a beacon of Mexican national pride and a powerful symbol of indigenous tradition. And that's all I got. Thank you.
That was a fun one.
Yeah, I've got a potential personal story lined up for this one that I'm really excited about, but we've yet to record it, so it'll probably come out in like a little separate episode that's, personal stories. If they have any relation, or even if they don't, but it just sounds like something we'd be interested in, like, your grandma was a, jet fighter and
Circus
she has
performer.
some crazy circus performer. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like anything. We dig it. If you want to be featured in that, send any and all fun stories to keepitcuriouspodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach out on our website to do that as well. I think there's a little form you could
there's a little
in there.
formy.
We don't know what the best way is yet, but so I potentially got a personal story lined up for this one as well that will release in the future.
Stoked.
Yeah, I'm actually very excited because I was calling a friend to ask how the actual hell to pronounce this stuff, and they were like, oh, I've got a fun personal story, and I was like, well, that's exactly what I'm always looking for. Thank you.
Do tell
drama. So yeah, I'm hoping to get a couple more. Again, if you also have personal like paranormal stories, we're really into those. Just saying. I also just found out another one of those that I need to get permission to use, I hope. So I'm working on a couple, but just saying. Hopefully that'll be, I have no timeline for that. So like when we get enough stories, we'll do an episode. It's really what it boils down to.
Send us our stories and it'll happen faster.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's Quetzalcoatl and his ally Tlaloc and his brother Xolotl and the many civilizations of which I had to attempt to pronounce today. That took me a long time.
Well done.
Thank you.
I love a good like mythology story.
Me
I hadn't heard any of that yet, and I haven't really heard like the Mayan and Aztec. stories, you know? I feel like you only ever hear
Yeah.
about like the calendar.
Yeah. And like, I didn't even talk about the Mayans all that much. And I was like, well, but I also want to do all the stuff on the Mayans. And like, I want their specific mythology because their gods might have been doing something entirely different but related. And again, this one was also very
Yeah.
hard because it's like, I'm pretty sure everything I covered was Aztec. Like, unless I
Yeah.
specified otherwise. I think all of those were Aztec mythology, but they might be really similar to one in Mayan mythology that also has to do with like, was Kukulkan also like god of time and the morning star in Mayan culture, and they also have a creation story somewhere in there, or I don't know. Maybe it was just a
Who
vegetation
knows?
god again. I don't, you know, pretty dang
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Pretty
Very
dang
dang
cool.
cool.
Yeah. Anyways, that's
Sweet. Well,
that's
thank
all I
you,
got.
Meredith.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Should we outro it out?
Let's do it. Let's do it. Where'd it go?
I'll
So
start. Oh, you
you
go.
can. Oh,
Go ahead. Go ahead. You good? Straight?
you can follow us on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, or wherever you're listening to hear more. Our Instagram is Keep It Curious Podcast. We're also on Twitter. I have not posted on there in a while, but I will. I
Social media is
keep forgetting about
hard.
it because, like I said before, I don't get Twitter, so I forget about it.
Yep,
Anyway,
I get it.
you can also check out our website at keepitcurious.wixsite.com/podcast. Wixsite is WIXSITE. If you have story suggestions, like Meredith said, you can reach out to us via the website or our email at keepitcuriouspodcast@gmail.com, or you can slide on into our Instagram DMs or Twitter. I'll get notified
Whatever.
even though I keep forgetting about it.
That's true. Notifications are on. Sharing is not. If you like what you hear, leave us a review. It would help us out a lot. We've also set up our like listener support. So if you're interested in supporting the podcast, you can find that at our website, Anchor, our Anchor website, or on our YouTube. So yeah, keep it curious, y'all, and we will catch you in 2 weeks. Fritz is saying hi as well, by the way. Hi, Kitten. I don't know if you're on camera, but I think that you are.
You can see like the tip of his ear,
Oh.
and I think a little bit of his butt.
Oh. Yeah?
Oh,
Oh,
sort of.
no.
I can see like here.
I can't see my own
There
camera.
he is.
Hi, kittens. Hi,
Fritz,
kittens.
Fritz, Fritz.
I should say goodbye. But he's so cute.
He's so cute.
So cute. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, listeners. Bye.
Thanks. Bye. Fritz says goodbye too. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow.